Okay, just waiting for everything to synchronize up. Can't tell you the OCD when it comes to preparing for these shows, because these only happen like once every 2 weeks. It's reminding myself how to get everything back in order. So let's see. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all looking after yourselves. Please tell me you can hear me. Comment 1 in the chat. And as we do, I just want to say hi to everyone joining. Neferion, Eric Bell, Megan, Edwin, welcome from Amsterdam. It's amazing. I'm seeing people from Israel, and it's unbelievable. Paul, welcome. Sam Ray, good to have you here again. And Dr. Bob, underachieving watch collector. Junior Johnson, Hans, good to have you here, sir. I said Sam Ray already. And so many more. You can hear me? Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's been a while. So how do we start? What's the best way of approaching it? So we're looking at the Phillips watch auction. We're looking at Racing Pulse. We're going to get into it. To begin, I'll just do a bit of housekeeping. Should I just say hi to everyone first before we get the ball rolling? There's 45 already joining. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope you're all looking after yourselves. The news that's been going on lately has been a bit, creatively disappointing. It's hard to be inspired half the time, but I hope this is going to be a good time for us to just kick back, relax. I hope you're drinking something good. My selection is wine for a change. Merlot, Raymond, thank you. Merlot, coffee, and water with Fisherman's Friends. I need to contact them because I've ordered 24 cherry-flavored Fisherman's Friends. I have a problem. Okay, let's get this started. To begin, before we even get into the presentation itself, I just want to mention that in the description of this video, you can see the link to the Phillips auction. We can talk about that in a moment. And also there's a link to a new store that I've just opened up. So we can chat about this very, very briefly. I don't want this to be a part of the show, just something to start us off. It's been my obsession over the last 2 months, getting these ideas out and ideas together. And I wanted to have it done as early as possible by December time. So in the description of this video, you can have a look, browse through the store while you're listening to me talking if you like. Canvas prints, all of these drawings are done individually. I'll briefly run through one of them if you like. I did make a post about it on the community page earlier this week. But it's been a lot of fun to be creative in a different avenue. Actually, use a bit of sketching for a change. This was a guilty pleasure of mine. Let me see if I can center it. Again, I just want to get this out of the way so we can start with the show properly. Simple sketches, very basic illustrations of watches. The 57 being my guilty pleasure. The whole idea behind this was to incorporate technical drawing into canvas prints for a start. And it's been a very good exercise. What I love about it is that you can break up the elements on the watch quite easily this way. You don't have shading, you don't have textures to worry about. It's all there in one plane. And it's been a lot of fun to just do something a bit different other than just making videos. So by all means, if you have some time on your hands, the link is in the description, have a browse. There's been a lot of listings. So yeah, I wanted to get that out the way. It's been a busy time in a different area. But let's get started with the show because there's lots to talk through. So we're going to turn dark mode on, full screen, and zoom right in. And then we get into the chat and say hi to everyone. So why are we doing another Phillips auction? By this time, you probably think I'm sponsored by them because we talk about their watches so much. Okay. Let me try and get to the chats first. Geez, there's so many more of you joining us. Flippin', welcome. Knack, good to have you here, sir. Yeah, and everyone else. Geez, the chat's going ballistic. Thank you all for being here. Staying alive, BG Song. Yep, I agree. Let's, God gave rock and roll to you. Yeah. I'm just going to hit the coffee and get myself in the zone. The first, 15 minutes is me just warming up and getting my brain into the atmosphere of things. I've had like 3 hits of coffee already and still getting myself awake. As far as I know, Sam Ray, there's 137. So luckily it's not the most bizarre listing like we've seen in the past. But the bonus is the variety is much better here next to the Geneva auction that we saw about a month ago. Okay, so let's try and break this down. So the Racing Pulse auction, I think it's the last of the Phillips auctions that are coming up at the moment. Please tag me in the chat if you want to get my attention. Again, sorry about that, everyone. At IDGuy, I'll be able to see it a lot easier. That way I can address you quicker. The chat generally goes pretty fast. So we had a look at the Geneva auction about a month ago. and I'll be sure not to prattle on about fine and rare and attractive and collectible and everything else. I want to keep it a bit more down and to the point. The last time I said those words too often, I put someone in hospital, so we'd rather not go that way and keep it a little bit more grounded. But there's a lot more variety in this section. We have Journes, we have vintage Omegas, we have vintage Rolexes, of course, and some pretty special ones on top of it. We have a McQueen related Monaco, we have a Paul Newman owned Daytona, and so much more. I think there's a lot more variety in the selection, which is why I thought it would be a nice way to present some unique and interesting pieces. Yeah, I'm going to be making these Freudian slips all the way through. I can guarantee it. I don't think drinking and presenting is a good idea. I'm definitely not going to take a hit every time I say these words, and I'm going to try my best to avoid the buzzwords. So this is the format of the screen. I hope it's pretty bearable. You can see it okay here. We've got the full listing of the watch. Another thing I should mention is that these auction, it's been 5 minutes already, pretty good. This auction's only happening next weekend, next Saturday. So the thinking is to get it done now. That way, people who might want to use this as a resource can jump on and check it out in a little bit more detail. Again, the link to this auction is in the description if you'd like to look at the listings and the lots. At the moment, I think all 137 are still there, but something might be pulled at a later stage. You never know. So yeah, let's get into it. Just trying to get myself warmed up. I think I'm going to hit the wine again. Welsh Carl, thank you. What did you say? Make a difference? No, I don't. I thank you, but really, I just love presenting. It's the funniest thing doing this. I don't present in everyday life, so it's a bit weird, waking up and thinking, okay, I'm now talking to an audience and I have to be professional. So yeah, it's good. Let me just try and get the wine in again. I tell you what, I pumped myself full of stimulants before these shows. And don't worry, we'll be having another wrist shot week very soon. I've been a bit swamped with a few other projects going on at the moment. I've got a collaborative video that's coming out next week, I hope next week Saturday, which is quite exciting. And as the year is coming to an end, so we are winding down, as we can all expect. No rares, please, Raymond. Don't worry, I'm going to be much more subtle about it. I'm not gonna hammer home all those points. We've done it enough at this point. I just want to keep it more focused on the watches. We can definitely have a good time laughing together. Like Armstrong, yes, Hans. Stimulants like Armstrong. I'm all about doping. Right, so let's start with the FP Journe. It's a good way to start the show. Hey, something different. What makes this model in particular quite unique, they call it electro-mechanical. And the way it works is, and I hope the microphone is not bottoming out. I've got it like right by my mouth. It's a very fascinating complication. It's real watchmaking in this space. The watch is semi-electric, semi-mechanical, and what happens is when you're not wearing it for an extended period of time, I think after half an hour of the watch being dormant, so the electronics take over and basically regulate the movement as the watch isn't working. It basically switches the watch off. Once it's picked up and it's moving again, so the movement catches up and synchronizes with the hands and synchronizes to the time. And in that way, when we talk about saving battery, it lasts something like 10 years, I think. The extended battery life is 10 years long. Really interesting aesthetic too. I mean, very true to Journe's identity when we look at the way the dials have been done, the skeleton working, the balancing everywhere there, the tortoise, what do they call it? The tortue shape, kind of like a tortoise shell, gondolo-ish, Right, so the listings, again, I hope you can see this all okay. If you're watching this on a big screen, I would recommend it because you can see the estimates in dollars, francs, euros, Hong Kong, the diameter, the date of when it was made, and everything there. Again, these descriptions we will definitely touch on, but I don't want to be repeating myself too much because they are kind of repetitive. And all the rest who are joining in, good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a good time. So we start with the Journe. Maybe what we can do to have a bit more audience interaction is maybe a yes or a no about the pieces that you like. If you'd like to move on to the next one, we can definitely motor along. But it's been 8 minutes of me talking about this watch. I think we've done the admin. It's now time to move on to the next range. So listing number 2, we have the GMT. The watch we expect to see. Now, the estimate is between 8 and 12. I think that's quite reasonable. I don't even know what these are retailing for today, but the demand for these, we know, it's ballistic. It's funny how I've actually noticed in these listings today that we won't see any modern Rolex, virtually nothing, which is quite a nice surprise. Instead of seeing the standard Hulks and everything else come in, this Yeah, it's popular. I don't know if this is the Mark II. The color scheme seems to tell us that it is a darker blue, so it must mean it's the next generation. They don't mention rare here, which is good, not bad, not bad. Hang tags invoice, yes, of course. So we definitely don't have to stay on this piece for long. I mean, it's nothing very exciting. We've seen enough of these over time. So yeah, Rolex is listing number 2. Going to get to some pretty exciting stuff as we go through this. So not number 3. Again, we've got 137 to motor through, so got to keep the energy levels up. Got to keep the energy. Reference 5565. Is that a Calatrava? Again, I haven't checked through all of these listings. I've just kind of put them all in space. Do enjoy the sector aesthetic. I don't think you can ever go wrong with it. Is this made in platinum? You see, we do have a few Patek aficionados who do join in the shows. They can probably cover the details a bit more about the material and the finish. But this dial layout is very reminiscent of 1950s motifs and aesthetics, and yeah, it's pretty charming. Also, the needle hands. It's definitely a love it or hate it thing. The overall layout. Thumbs up. Raymond says he likes this. Yeah, again, please tag me in the chat so I can get to the comments quick. This is going to be, these shows generally are quite long when we're looking at 137-ish listings. So just expect it to be about 2 hours plus, 2.5, 3 hours. God, I don't know. The first Phillips show we ever did, I think we broke the 4-hour record, which don't plan on doing now. I don't know how you can listen to me for 4 hours, but it's appreciated. It's a lot of fun doing this. So yeah, Patek Philippe. It is gorgeous in a way because it has its own identity. It's not the typical general Calatravas that we see. Made in 2006, the reopening of the Patek Boutique. I should read the descriptions, don't you think? Reopening of the Patek Boutique, Geneva, 2006. I'm wondering if these used Patek seal or a Geneva seal at this point. I think they used Patek seals at this with their movements and their calibers. Show the case back. It's great. Let's have a look. 1839, 1892, 2006. Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. The estimate is between 20 and 30,000 US dollars. I think I'll keep that as the baseline number. We won't talk about Swiss francs and everything. I think US is a pretty easy number for us to break down. Have you talked about the 6263? No, we haven't, Adrian. We will get there, though. Paul Newman's. Everyone says the Paul Newman. I can't stand the repetition. Just say a Newman-owned Daytona. I think that's a little bit easier to say. We will get to it. I think it's lot number 20-something later on. They use a highly rare seal, Kuguru. I tell you what, we're gonna these names and listings. Every single. I mean, look at this. Just for this is a reference 3712. Okay. What's the difference between this and a 5712? 2006 42 mil diameter. It's a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm learning something here. But again, for a watch like this, it's what, stainless steel. They still use the word very rare, and it's just constant. The listings never change. Between 50 and 100, this is expected to go for. What do you all think? Yes or no? What do you all think about the 5712 aesthetic of the asymmetrical layout? It's one of the Nautiluses that I've actually had some pretty extended experience with, and it's very different on the wrist, I can tell you. I tried the rose gold variant. It doesn't feel like a Nautilus. It has this level of complexity to it, which is a little bit different. It doesn't just feel like a sports watch. I think it does have a bit of a dynamic X factor to it. Always appreciate a micro rotor. The layout is amazing. I really hope that the quality is okay and you can see some of the details. But it definitely does go against the way the Nautilus has always been approached. And there are a few other examples that use the complication a bit nicer when you have everything centered and a bit more clean. You know what I mean? This is, as far as I know, the only asymmetric basically complication that Patek uses in these various models, whether we're looking at the Calatrava references, etc. We're going to see a few of them later on. What I also love about these shows, looking at the auctions, especially one of the most, I would say, popular auctions in the space, is that we can gauge just where the interest lies in the watch area. You know, whether people are interested in brands like Patek, Rolex. There are some outliers in this area too, which I really enjoy. And yeah, it's going to be a great time. I mean, there's some awesome stuff. Again, I'm just warming up. If I feel a little bit flat, it's because the caffeine still hasn't gotten into the brain. The alcohol still hasn't hit yet. So give me another, I don't know, 15 minutes and I'll be alive. Let's move on from this. I do enjoy the asymmetry. It's a little bit of a different take. There's another great reference we'll see later on. Now, here is an example of quite an interesting approach to a chronograph in the Nautilus line. We've spoken about these before. I can't say I've seen a blue dial two-tone of this. Of course, it's Tiffany stamped, so it's just, the attention just goes ballistic for these. Let's see, between 60 and 120 is the estimate. The only gripe I have with it, I love the idea of a centralized, totalizer, or should I say double totalizer on the dials. But the way the pushers work, I just think it jars with the aesthetic of the shoulders. It would be so gorgeous if the pushers were actually integrated into the shoulders of the crown guard, just to complete it a bit more, make it simpler, streamlined. Of course, it's very difficult to do because, as we know, these are all base calibers that Patek uses with all of their references, whether the dress watches, whether the sports watches. So, yeah, I've never seen this combination before, though. Rose gold steel, two-tone with a blue dial. Maybe I'm just naive and I haven't looked. And everyone else, again, you who are joining, thank you everyone for being here. I hope you're all well and kicking back with something nice to drink. I don't know where you are in the world, what time it is in the world, but it's 10:15 in the UK at the moment. Freezing cold, pouring rain on the south coast. It's a good time for us to, relax and talk about what we enjoy, this hobby. Raymond says pass. I think a lot of people probably say pass on this. And the thing is that the collector space, they all want Tiffany stamps because that's just the next level, right? That's the nth degree. And I don't see the big deal about it. It's really not the most necessary thing, right? Interesting color combination. I wouldn't say it's for everyone, though. Definitely is not for everyone. Welsh Carl, curved towards like the Everest. Sorry, I've got to try and read these. A big pass, Megan said. I'm just an average man with a degree. However, I'm a higher educated. Oh, sorry, my reading is very, very bad. All right, I'm going to move on. Listing number 6. Let's carry on through here. There are some bizarre Royal Oaks on this show, I can tell you. We have some crazy minute repeaters. Crazy minute repeaters. Rajev is drinking a Gentleman Jack on ice. Good on you. I'm drinking a Merlot. I think it's Spanish, a Spanish Merlot. Haven't had wine on a live show for a very long time, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. The whiskey and water and coffee doesn't always work the best when you're trying to be lucid and present well. All right, so let's have a look. So it's a skeletonized, they say pink gold, right? Pretty beautiful how they've done the filigree on the back here. 41 mil diameter, between 60 and 120,000. They plan on it going for. I find it. I mean, what's great and what I enjoy. Let me try and zoom in a bit closer. If you can hopefully see this. The reason why I don't zoom into all these pictures is because it might botch up the general layout of the screen. What I find fascinating about brands when they take their sports watches, as this is, and start cross-pollinating the idea of putting in more classical motifs like Romans, and we have leaf-styled hands, it's very jarring, and it doesn't feel like it sits the same way as we expect with many other pieces out there. But yeah, it's nice to see a brand that's bold, is brave enough to try something different, and we will see this at a later stage with a Nautilus that I really enjoy, actually. It's almost like the middle finger to the sports watch in a way, because they are putting their classical influences into a watch design that they know sells. So could this be a good way of marketing, in a sense, that they are just trying to put these elements into a watch? Because, I mean, most people aren't interested in the classical inspired dress pieces. They would rather have a Royal Oak aesthetic. Why not just chuck it in? And ESS says, looks cheap. I mean, it kind of does, right? It's funny how we look at these pieces and consider them to be something a little bit out of left field today. As, it's funny. I mean, the watchmaking that's gone into this, you can see all the hand engraving that they've done. What's the price again? Between 60 and 120. They were made in 2010, sold to benefit the one drop. There's lots of foundations. We will definitely get into this as I warm up. The first few listings, I'm always trying to wake up. It looks cheap, ESS says. I mean, parts bin, Kuba says. Yeah, it's definitely a peculiar animal. Let's carry on through. I think there's a good listing in a moment. Right, another Journe. Very rare and exceptional. Platinum annual calendar. Okay, so isn't it funny that we were looking at the Geneva auction like a month ago? There were barely any Journes. It was all vintage Rolex primarily. I don't know how they gauge and calibrate where the interest lies. If I didn't mention this in the beginning, the Racing Pulse auction is happening in New York, and that's generally where a lot of the big stuff goes down. That's where we saw the original Newman Daytona go, and so many others. Some of the biggest sales have been made in the New York show. So I do love the fact that we're getting to see some variety in a different area. I found the Geneva show very bland because it was just all the same stuff. At least here we are getting to see there's some amazing concept pieces that we'll see later on as well, like Uhrwerks and everything in between there. So it's a platinum variant. I'm surprised this model doesn't have a brass. Aren't they very known for their brass movements in the first editions and everything? 2004, ruthenium coated movement. Okay, that's something else. Between 50 and 100. I do love the way they've finished the weight balance there. And Journe, just what I enjoy about so many of these independent brands like Journe, like Moser, Laurent Ferrier, etc., is that they've all managed to come up with their own identities that are true to their aesthetics. They all seem to take the idea of a classical watch approach, but then incorporate typefaces that they are their own, asymmetry that is their own, movements and everything in between. You see how much organic features are linked to a watch like this. And yeah, it's good. Orange-Chan mentioning that Stallone is selling everything. We're going to definitely talk about that. That was really funny. Yeah, he's wearing the Rolex and he's selling the Richard Milles. Definitely focus on them. There's some cool models, really cool models. Adrian says, I believe it looks cheap because too many cheap watches tries to copy it. I mean, that's true. We're talking about that AP earlier. Right. I've got a motor on. We're only on lot number 7, and we've been 21 minutes in already. Jeez. And I feel like the Fisherman's Friends are going to come into full effect at a later stage. I hope you all have your cherry Fisherman's Friends handy. Right. We can definitely move across from some of these. This is a 5070G. Many in this area, the space that we talk about, they love this variant. There's probably a few of you here that prefer this over the 5170. And I find it fascinating how there's such a divide between these two references. I think there is a 51 or a 5370 that we'll see later. But the way they've done the stepping on the case is so old-fashioned. It feels like something right out of the 40s or the 50s. This made in 2002. Estimate between 40 and 80 grand to go for. Again, this is only happening in a week's time, so who knows what's going to happen. But I think it's quite refreshing to see just the selection in one space. Overall, what I do like is, as far as the stepping on the lugs and the case, it's very consistent. Maybe I'll try and zoom in so you can get a better look. It's very consistent seeing how the stepping works on the dial. I'm sorry, on the bezel and the lugs. Again, coffee is still getting to the brain. But they've also managed to address the numerals very well on the dial. Seems to speak a lot better. There's no Breguet-esque elements here and there and everywhere else. There is a good relationship between everything on it. So yeah, nice piece. It's large though, 42 mils. I mean, Patek don't make watches of these size nowadays, right? This was at a time when they were still experimenting with the oversized craze of the early 2000s, and very interesting times. How we're kind of trekking back into we got some diamond setting here. Okay. Let me say hi to you all here. Paul saying I need a sponsor from Fisherman's Friends. I really do. Apparently they're based in Lancashire, sorry. And I need to reach out to them. I think Fisherman's Friends do need to sponsor me some way or another. Brought to me by Fisherman's Friends. I'm having Merlot tonight, Flip and Zipper. And Welsh Carl saying, ever thought about an upload about straps? Straps as in talking about them to wear, about an idea of making them. Can you be a bit more specific? I have spoken about NATOs before, I think, and why I think they're just fantastic things to wear. If we're talking about leather, that could be something. I'm loving rubber, what are they called? Tropic straps at the moment. Really, I'm loving Tropic straps. They are great fun. It'll be a nice discussion, actually. Come next year, I want to be a lot more creative, be a bit more philosophical focused, but also more creative when coming up with ideas around watches as products too. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah. So leather straps, that's quite a point of contention. Gotta love some diamond setting. What's the estimate? Between 100 and 200. This was made in 2006. I mean, the setting is impressive. You got to admit, it really is impressive. 5071G. Too many diamonds, I think. Way too many diamonds on this piece for our liking. But you know what? Gonna move on. Gonna move on through to lot number 10. Jeez. Isn't it funny how we see these watches cropping up? It's such a strange space. Because on one side, you're looking at the modern, the modern Rolexes, the modern Richard Milles that we will look at later on, the concept watches and all of these pieces. But then we look at these crazy classical models that only the real collectors are going to be jumping on. So what, this is 36 mils, made in 2001. It's a full-on minute repeater, I think. It's a perpetual minute. It's a crazy complication. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And this has the Patek seal. Or does it have a Geneva seal? I think, oh, geez, I can't even see it. It's too small. It's based down here. 2001, would that be an early Patek Philippe seal? Maybe someone can correct me there. But isn't it strange how we see this blend of the new time watch buyer in this space for the Stallone-related Richard Milles, but then you also see the high-end collector pieces in the same area. This is why I enjoy these, because we can gauge just the dichotomy, is that the right word? The divergence between collector and new time buyer and all of this. Should also mention that there is something like a 26% buyer's premium on top of the final purchasing price, as well as 20% when it comes to shipping the watch. So you're basically paying nearly 50% on top of what the final sale of this watch is. It's just ridiculous, yeah. David's saying Geneva seal. Okay, that's good. Geneva seals are more appreciated over the Patek seals. I don't know when they transitioned. Was it something like early 2004-ish, if I remember right? Yeah, it's great. And Raymond also mentioning it's a Geneva seal. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to move on through. It's a gorgeous model, got to admit. Size-wise, 36 mils. Remember, when it comes to watchmaking, a lot of brands, especially at this time, are trying to see how much technology they could pack into a small package, as small of a package as possible. Right, moving on to lot number 11, a Heuer Octavia. We don't see these very often. So this is a Heuer Octavia with a Pepsi layout from 1972. This is like one of our first vintage watches that we're looking at, I think. 40 mil diameter, between 8 and 12. Now, this is another bizarre thing. You see the super high-end platinum with all the minute repeaters and all the complications. And then you see these models crop up that are highly underrated because, as we know, a lot of these, there are some models that are butchered on this, as we will get to eventually. This is in an excellent condition for what it is. You can see that the facets on the lugs are great. It hasn't been overly polished. And these are the sleepers in this area. Heuer Octavia GMT, they kind of took liberties of adding the Pepsi elements there. I guess we can forgive them on a gay Frere bracelet. And yeah, you can see, you notice I'm not mentioning the buzzwords that they always link these with. Again, if anyone from Phillips is watching in future, just bullet point it. You don't need to give it a full description. Just bullet point: stainless, chronograph, dual time, gay Frere bracelet. You don't need to give it a story. Anyway, added 1% buyer's premium. Is that so, David? Let me know. I'm all guessing here. It's stunning. Really nice piece. I enjoy it. The reverse panda aesthetic is always appreciated. Easy to read, easy to look at. Going to move on next to number 12. God, we've got 137 of these. Okay, now, right. I'm just going to leave this here for a second. Who's going to pass on this? I have to ask, because this is just beautiful. And it's rated, the estimate is between 4,000 and 6,000 for this. I mean, look at it. It's an absolute dream of a watch. And yeah, Thomas saying beautiful. I mean, this is the kind of watch for us, right, Thomas? It's just, it's spectacular. Pity it doesn't have a bracelet, but the way the dial has been, let's try and zoom in and have a closer look. The dial has been so well looked after. The case is in great condition still. From 1970, we know from the A384 today. This is the reference SP1301. I don't get all that nomenclature, but taking a hit from the Merlot again. It's beautiful. I mean, this is why I featured it on the cover. I think it's one of the most beautiful listings of the show. Lot number 12. I mean, if this watch doesn't go for beyond 15 grand, I'll be quite upset. Because, I mean, it's just, look at it, man. Stunning. Caramel tropicalized effect. It's, of course, they use the word attractive, tropical registers. Yeah. It's just great. You don't even need to go into detail about it, really. The aesthetic is there. It is the epitome of the El Primero. Speaking of which, I liked how they've presented the show, because we are not only looking at a very special Monaco. The El Primero and the Monaco were in competition with one another. This being one of the world's first automatic chronographs, next to the highly coveted Monaco that we'll be seeing later. Yeah, great watch, really great reference. And I feel like I really hope that more attention is drawn to these pieces over time, even though most of us want to get our hands on one if we can. And BS asking, how do you feel about the date at 4:30? I love it. I honestly love it. It doesn't get in the way of the subdials. I think that's the one thing, that's my one pet peeve with chronos that have dates at the 3. John, thank you for the super chat, man. Really, thank you so much. Talking about crud around the bezel, I want to mention that too. I really enjoy the 4:30 date placement. It doesn't mar the attention. Another thing is, these watches are tiny. I mean, 37 mils. It's going to be very difficult to see the date when you're wearing the watch, realistically. It's quite an intelligent placement. It sure doesn't affect the wearing experience, for my eye at least. I have tried on a Royal Oak chronograph that also has the same layout of the date at the 4:30. It's very appealing. It allows you to have a date while also clean symmetry at the same time there. Mentioning about the crud, I don't understand how you can list a watch and have it looking the way it does, with filth around it and inside the pushes. We've seen some hideous examples in the past. It's not for everyone. I would be sure to make it as clean as possible for the sake of presentation, but I mean, you can easily just get this fixed, right? You can get it worked up. Patina, yeah, I mean, it doesn't take long for a watchmaker to just give it a bit of a clean and a rinse. Okay, I'm going to move on. Number 13. Geez, like, if I spend this much time talking on each reference, it's going to take weeks. All right, so this, I mean, we can definitely jump over some of these models. A 1968 35 mil diameter, reference 3445. Beautiful movement. Really is a stunning movement. I always am fascinated by how these movements are able to just live on no matter what. They look brand spanking new. Nice but dull. I mean, that's the thing. We can definitely jump ahead of these pieces that are pretty bland. I mean, this looks like a typical Seamaster from the 60s, right? You wouldn't even know the difference. Butterfly-esque rotor. It is pretty beautiful, I gotta say. And again, the fact that this looks the way it does now after how many years? 50, 60. How many years? My maths is really bad when I'm trying to present, but it just looks spectacular. Still looks phenomenal. 18K printed on it. It's just nice. And this has a snap-on case back, so you wouldn't even see this. But that's the beauty of Patek and their movements. Right. Moving on to 14. Another one. I tell you, isn't it strange how we jump from the modern to these vintage references? 1967. Attractive, well-preserved. Reference 570. Between 12 and, I mean, that's great. It'd be nice to see this is the time when we want to see the movement, This is just a typical looking Calatrava in many ways. Do enjoy the running seconds. It's 52 years old. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you. It's a pretty good age, for pretty good appearance for its age, right? This just looks like another typical Calatrava. What's a good example of it? I'm so bad with my references. A 5107, is that it? With the large seconds hand. Don't crucify me. There are a few who watch the show who have similar references that look similar to these, should I say. Okay, let's move on next to 15. Whoa, okay. Now, funny how 1938, so we're just about to hit the Second World War, and we transition from this phase of deco to much more utilitarian focused pieces, and then we see the deco resurgence come the 50s. And this is a very typical kind of corne de vache style. Speaking of which, we're actually going to feature a corne de vache lug layout later on. Very interesting, though. And you would almost expect these lugs to articulate in the way that they present themselves. If this was a more modern watch in the line, you would expect these to have some kind of hinge mechanism so they could conform to your wrist better. What's the size of this? 35 millimeters. Eesh. A little bit small. Presence on the wrist, though, is pretty good because of that extended lug length. It's quite a peculiar beast. And you just notice the dial is so true to those older elements of the 40s and late 30s. So David's saying the 5107 has a date and crown guards, but has the markers the same. That's what I meant, David. Thank you. I can't believe I guessed that. That was the idea. Just wanted to talk. The dial aesthetic looks kind of similar. Yeah, right. Moving on next to lot number 16. Oh, this is gorgeous. Really is gorgeous. So this is a Breguet Type 20. You don't see these very often. At least I think it's, yes, it is. Okay, got to get my eyes fixed to the screen. Breguet Type 20 with a flyback chrono. Stunning model. I'm not so much of a fan of the bracelet. I don't know if this is an original bracelet that this watch was supplied with, but it is stunning. Let me try and get this framed a bit better for everyone. So 38 mil in diameter, 1954. Case back further engraved with multiple Fendi. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that in French. If anyone is there, can do it yourself. Estimate between 12 and 18. I think that's very undervalued for what this watch is. And we all love a Type 20. Let's have a look at the back of it too. These are all the serial marks. Of course, these were all pilot chronographs back in the day. And the beauty of the Type 20, you know, it all came from the Hanhart inspirations from back in the day. It does look aftermarket, I agree, Megan. It looks just like your standard stretch rivet bracelet that we would see. I think Gay Frey also made them back then, right? In that time. Yeah, man, the Type 20 just came from the original Hanharts, a German-inspired variant that you know, we were dividing up Germany back then, and so their elements were used on all the models. Any Type 20 reference we now know basically came from German inspiration. The bezel with the little red accent on the pip, crazy little things. But it is stunning. I mean, this is very much a canvas for the pilot chronograph of the 50s that then moved further. Highly underrated piece, and for this price, between 12 and 18, I expect it to go for more. Put this on a bunt strap, and you're done. Gorgeous, just gorgeous. Any more questions? Again, sorry, I'm missing you in the chats. If you tag me, I'll probably see it better. It comes up red on my screen, so I can read it a lot easier. Which button raises the white flag? Freddie, that's not nice. Yeah, stunning. Got to say, the balance on the dial, the numerals. I mean, the giveaways for the Type 20s, generally the numeral arrangement. It's this stretched Arabic layout. The needle hands are also very true to form. I don't think we have many of these pilot chronographs going through the show, come to think of it. I don't think we'll see many Breitlings in this line. I can't remember. Again, the listings are below in the description if you'd like to have a look. I've listed the entire selection of yachts. A mention of the onion crown. Just typical pilot areas. Also, just love the relationship between the crown and the bezel and the knurling there. It's so clean. It's gorgeous. There was so many. I mean, the 50s was such an inspired time for watch design. I think we can all agree. I think I made a whole stream about how the 50s influenced practically all the modern watch designs that we know today. When we think of the sports watch, we're just stepping into their own categories and, you know, built for function and for purpose. But you now had this time of rapid technology expansion with you know, diving, and yeah, as we'll get through some of these references later on. Okay, here's another good example. 1953. I mean, this is one of the early Explorers. Ooh, with a honeycomb dial. Gee, that is stunning. Right. Missing you again in the chats. Let's see. Raymond saying should have had the Breguet blue steel hands. Shame. I tell you, they've done some good models in the past. I think there's only ever been there's been a Breguet dive watch, I think. There's only like one of 3 in the world that was listed in the Phillips auction lot. There's so many dynamic pieces out there that we've never even seen in the wild. So, right, let's talk about this. Reference 6350, well preserved, extremely rare. Signed provenance, that's pretty nice. And I mean, the sharpness on the lugs is pretty impressive. I would imagine, is this pre-perpetual? No, it is. It's a perpetual movement. Okay. Just small little quirks like, wow, I haven't even noticed. I'm going to zoom in again. Hope you don't mind. It's not the easiest thing to manipulate myself around this pet. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Problem. Sorry about that. Don't worry. I've got other tabs open. I expected this to happen. Oh, dear. So that's what happens when you click on an image by mistake. It goes completely haywire and you can't zoom out of the image. Sorry about that. We're back. The quality of the piece is very good, and just small touches like, I don't know if you can see this very well. I tried to zoom in and I failed it. I can't go big, Hans. I'm sorry. What happens is with the Magic Mouse, there's this funny glitch thing on, I'm using Chrome at the moment, and it doesn't let you zoom out. And I can't actually close the image manually. So I have to literally close the page and reopen it. It's this horrible bug that they have in the system that irritates me. Right, so we have an extended Mercedes hour hand, which is something very different. We have a needle hand. Oh, so annoying. Sorry about that I can't get it full. But I mean, yeah, we'll try. You see a needle hand for the minutes. You see a lollipop seconds hand, something else. Honeycomb dial, gilt elements. It's beautiful. It's a real precursor to the Explorer. And yeah, by all means, check out the watch if you have a moment, if you're still watching. Sorry about that, everyone, that I had to jump around. It's probably going to happen a few more times as I'm getting my hands warmed up. I think I'm surprised this is 36 mils, actually. I would expect this to be 34, considering the age of the piece and the reference. Brick Lane is joining us. Welcome, Brick Lane. And okay, going to motor on through next to number 18. We're going to see a few more Explorers, I do believe. Ooh, another amazing reference. It does look smaller. NVC says it does look smaller than 36. It really does. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 34 and they made a mistake. Right, the Tornek Ravel. I made a video about the watches of Vietnam, and in there focused a big segment on this. This is essentially a Blancpain 50 fathoms. Hans saying meh. I don't know if you're talking about this. It's a very peculiar variant. That's a redial Blancpain. Oh, hold on, Eric Bell. Yes, beat the sub Enigar Navy trials. Nuclear sign for Prometheum. Wow, sub failed this. I tell you, come for the watches, stay for the community comments, because Eric Bell knows his stuff about divers. And yeah, so the whole idea here was the Buy American Act, which was something still around in the 50s-ish and the 60s, and they couldn't import Blancpain 50 fathoms into the country. So I think his name was Alan Tornek. He Blancpain Mille sub 50. Yeah, it is essentially a 50 fathom. So a man named Alan Tornek, I think his name was, managed to redial all of these Blancpain references with the Tornek Ravel name and the US brand to make it legal to own in the US. There are only like 50 of them, and most of them were destroyed as far as I know. So they are pretty, I'm going to use the word, rare in this area. Circa 1966, between 50 and 100,000. The reason why they go for this price is because they are rare. I'm going to say it again. So not bad. We're going to have a look at another Aqualung later on that I think is more beautiful. But just remember, I mean, this is the archetype of the dive watch. This pretty much predates the Submariner as we know it today, and lots of little quirks and elements. I mean, we have the what's the word? The ingress indicator. Sorry about the mouse cursor. The indicator at the 6 o'clock position telling you that you're getting ingress in your dial. Did I say rare? I'm going to say it often, Megan. I'm definitely not going to be drinking while I do it, because then by the end of the show, I'm going to be on the floor, already choking on vomit. Right, going to move on next to lot number 19. Oh, here we go. Right, going to take a hit of the wine. 5517. Stamped 5513 in the case back, which I believe was quite a common thing that happened back in the day. Now, we know what the Mille sub is. This is a nice example. Just going to hit the wine. Brick Lane saying the origins of the dive watch. Yes, 50 fathoms, definitely. Isn't it amazing? 50 fathoms and the Seawolf were really the two establishers. This is the Submariner at its prime, at its peak as a instrument. Funny that we're actually going to look at another British mil-spec variant of the Seamaster that I adore. I would equally compare them because they're just such beautiful references. So let's have a look at the specs here. We have a signed letter, which is nice, a bit of provenance. I think this is from the owner himself, acknowledging that this watch was his. Pretty cool. Engraving on the case back, that's all good. The arrow being military insignia. I don't see why it says 79 here, and it's a circa 1977 reference. Does this mean that it had its case back swapped? I don't know. But this just was, it's really quite fascinating when you think that this watch was commissioned to be created this way and just how they did it. I'll talk about it in a moment. Eric Bell says the W10 is MOD for Army. Very rare, not to be Navy. 5513, 5517. Hold on a sec. Can you explain that in a bit more detail, Eric? So you're telling me that this was actually for the Army and not for the Navy? That's for the Air Corps, really? I don't know. I'm sorry that I'm not reading all this stuff. I've got to motor through some of these listings, but yeah, the presentation of this piece, it looks in very good condition considering. I don't know if it's had a new bezel set in. It looks like the pip's fallen out, but the condition is immaculate. And there's some funny quirks to this. Just remember that this came after the Omega that we know, the Seamaster 300. And they did things like the full elements on the bezel, the graduations. And I believe it was just for legibility, to be able to read the minutes faster. Because as we know, these little minute tracks, you can't read on these watches. It's virtually impossible at a glance. Yeah, stunning. It looks like it has been polished once when you look at the edges of the case. But still, presentation-wise, gorgeous model. 55. See, that's the thing. 5517, 5513, and then they had double stamps too. I think that's what Eric was mentioning. The double reference, yeah, you know, and it's got a 5 million serial number. Again, for those of you who know these pieces, you probably know it way more than me. Here we go. W10. Yeah, again, there's so many elements to these watches. If you collect these pieces, you probably know them in and out. You have to be so careful with these. There are very few of them in the world, and yeah, finishing's good. The watch is in great nick. Right, we're going to move on. Very nice. Strap isn't original. I don't think it would be, Eric. No. I mean, these have been beaten and abused. Sadly, strap does look like it's seen some wear. I'm not going to zoom into this image, but it does look like it's got a bit of, I don't know, maybe it's faux dirt that they put on it to make it look older. Got to love a good old Phoenix. Right on. Lot number 20. So there's good and bad to this watch. The good is that tea leaves, Dan. That's so funny. Faux dirt. Yeah. Again, the wine is starting to hit the brain. So this is what most of us are here for. This is the Steve McQueen Heuer. Okay. And I was a bit let down because this is not technically Steve McQueen's watch per se. As far as I know, there were 3 given to him for the filming of Le Mans. This one he had engraved and given to his chief mechanic that was working behind the scenes on the cars, the 917 Porsches that they were using. And yes, I mean, this is the original. And the engraving at the back, it's for Haig Eltunen. I'm going to butcher his name. And it's a great story. I highly recommend, if you are looking at the listing, they give you a full description and story behind this watch. I think that's the chief mechanic there that he gave the watch to. I'm trying to move the cursor. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But the story goes, I mean, we know the Monaco was really established because of Le Mans, the film. And there is no projection on the price, which I find bizarre, because later we're going to have a look at a Paul Newman, owned Paul Newman. Did I just repeat myself there? That they estimate to go for over $1 million, right? Here, there's no estimate at all. Kind of peculiar. I don't know how Mr. Orelbach is going to sell this watch to people, but as far as also, they don't mention too much about how often this watch was worn, if it was a presentation piece, if it was actually one that he did wear very often during the filming of the movie. But I mean, this is the Monaco, and if it wasn't for Le Mans, we wouldn't see this. So they call it a historically important, well-preserved, rare. Yeah. I mean, it's just when they use that word so often, it completely ruins my diction and my grammar. But this is one of the highlights. I mean, this is what makes the Racing Pulse auction a big deal, is that we see that the Steve McQueen, one of the Steve McQueen Monacos is coming up. Whether or not it's going to be pulled prior to the show, I don't know. But we wait and see. It's in excellent condition, got to say. I did read up about it a little bit, and the mentioning was that the mechanic who got this watch given to him basically put it in a drawer and left it, looked after it over the time period. So, yeah, condition is superb. Looks like there's been a little bit of water ingress on the right-hand side of the case there, but the colors are striking. There's so many, my opinion, my belief around this, very ugly, ESS says. Yeah, estimate on request, eye-wateringly expensive, Ed talks. I really don't know. And let's have some predictions. Perry mentioning 6 million. I don't know. Might have been pre-sold. Who knows? Just remember that at the time when this watch was made, 1969, 1968-69 was when we saw the El Primero. Everyone was racing to try and get that automatic chronograph out. And I believe that this was just a slapped together effort. The way this watch is presented, typical of the 70s with the TV case styling that we would know and love eventually. But you look at the way they slapped on a round dial and they said, okay, we have to fill up that space somehow. So let's get these batons and arrange them horizontally. So it looks like we are using this area as much as possible. Yeah, it's funny mentioning that there's not that Hans is not a fan. I think moreover, what's beyond the presentation of the watch, it's the significance behind it that is more important, I think. And this, really, this watch ushered into that new era of the 70s, which one of the most polarizing times for watch creation, don't you think? When we see these accented, highlighted colors, it's just so typical. Square elements lined up, the way the subdials have been arranged. It's a love it or hate it watch, I agree. And as far as a marketing campaign, just a large square on the wrist, easy to see from a distance. And yeah, Steve McQueen Monaco. This is the Steve McQueen watch in many ways. We talk about the 1655 Explorer, but this is the actual Steve McQueen watch that we all know. So interesting monster. I would like to know your thoughts about what this watch is going to sell for. I am predicting it's going to go for a lot of money. Over $1 million. 3.5, maybe that's too generous. I would say in and around the 5 million ballpark, maybe. Again, I don't know the provenance and how much this watch was actually worn during filming and everything there. And yeah, greetings from San Diego. Curtis, good to have you here, sir. Very good to have you here. 2.2, Lester said. I really don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on. This is definitely one of the highlights of the show. I'm sure it's going to be interesting to see what it goes for in the end. But lot number 20. We're going to focus on a 6263 later on too, so that should be a lot of fun. But 39 millimeter square. The Monaco, one of the Monacos. The value is only the story behind the watch. That's it, ESS. It's something for a collector to say that they have a watch related to Steve McQueen, and it's very prevalent when we think about how the Daytona gained all the hype in the space. This is as important, I think, as a watch that ushered into the era of the 70s and beyond. Draw back your bow, Eric says. Okay, we're going to move on through. So lot number 20, Steve McQueen. There are going to be a few more references later on that we're going to have a look at around the zone. And then they drop us with a 5960p. This, to many, is considered quite a sought-after reference. Lots love the idea of the way the dials have been arranged on this piece, these windows. It's seriously good watchmaking, you've got to admit. Platinum variant, gray dial, certificate of origin. We don't have to hang around on these too much, but I do like that this is very much a chronograph-based series of pieces that we're going to look at. Being the Racing Pulse auction, it's nice that they actually have a theme that they're going to be following. Yeah, and Tourist is saying 1969. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I do like that as a number. That would be good. But just remember, there's like a 40% premium on top of the final sales price. So feel for the people that spend on these. I don't think the layout is this format with the gray dial, not my cup of tea. Don't know about you. But the roulette wheels, we're talking about the roulette wheels on the top for the windows, or I do enjoy the centralized chronograph, totalizers. That is very appealing. It does break up the dial nicely, and it's easy to read. Legibility with chronographs. I should have said in the very beginning that what makes a chronograph is legibility. How easy can you read it? And let's just jump back to the Monaco, if I can. Oh, please work with me here, darling. It's easy to read. It's very easy to break up the elements, and color can help in those areas. It really can. So red accents, blue, white, and we're going to see that through. It's funny how we moved from like the 60s to the 70s and started seeing these colors being used a lot more frequently as accents to make legibility a lot better. Right on. Moving on next from this to lot 22. This is cool. I'm going to hit the coffee and I'm going to hit a fisherman's friend because my voice is already going on me and it's been 53 minutes. Can you believe? Dan mentioning lots of color on that Heuer. I think the color has been done so well too. I don't think I mentioned it, but red and blue accents with white, it stands out so well. You can see everything at a glance very easily. So yeah, I'll be sure to emphasize that more as we run through these references now. Lot number 22, a 5930. This is a holy grail for lots of people. White gold, we have a world time complication with a chronograph. Gorgeous dial. I mean, it is beautiful. Between 30 and 50. I don't know what these watches retail for, but yeah, not bad. And I do like they're sticking with the theme of chronographs. So Leicester saying 30 an hour equals 4.5 hours. No. I've got to motor through them then. I've got to carry on. I can't with these. 22 listings and we've been running for almost an hour. That is terrible. I've got to wake myself up. Okay. Be ready for a speed run now. I do like the presentation of this watch very much. I think the way they've arranged the world time and the dial, even if this watch was 44 millimeters in size, I think it would still fit very nicely with just the way everything's been balanced between the dial and the actual world time element. And if you're joining us, apologies for being late. You've missed a lot of rare and attractive things. You actually missed the Steve McQueen. Just jump back about 3 or 4 minutes. We just had a look at it, and you can catch up with us live. Okay, I've got to move on to the next, but I will read your chats in a moment. Let's move on to 23. Right, a 5170 in its packaging. We did speak about the 5070 earlier on. This is nice with diamonds inset with a fume dial, but you can't see it. The big demand is to get these watches fully packaged. They've never actually been opened or worn, which is quite sad. And another example, a 5975, another presentation box. This has a pulsation dial arrangement, which is nice. But again, I don't dig the fully packaged thing. It's nice to see these presentations, these watches actually shown off for what they are. So I'm going to motor past them. Okay, let's hold on to here for a second. This is quite nice. Right, there are lots of comments going on here. Megan saying father has the Patek and has only depreciated in value since he purchased it for 42. So it has. It's actually depreciated in value. I thought they were in quite high demand for what they are, complication-wise and everything there. Curtis, having been present for the auction sale of several Steve McQueen cars in Monterey during Car Week each August, I can tell you that the McQueen Premium is truly insane. Yeah, I mean, they just want the name, huh? They just want the name. So, bit of a pity. Is there a tag in the Heuer watch? No, touristas, there's no tag. It's a Heuer. It's the real deal. And David asking, this is how you add diamonds to a men's watch? Yes, subtly, very subtly. We can jump back to it quickly if we like. I do appreciate it when you're able to look at a dial, not think that there are diamonds there, but then you look at it again and see the aspect of the baguettes and the way they've been placed. There's some excellent references out there. There's the Nautiluses they've managed to do. Some of those anniversary Nautiluses with the baguettes, very clean. So yeah, when it comes to Patek, they do know how to both dress up a watch, but also keep it plain and understated when they want to. This is not one of those. Breguet numerals, it's got a minute repeater, it's got the full complication, it's probably a perpetual calendar, I would imagine. Retrograde date, that is incredible. So it basically means once that hand reaches, sorry about the mouse, once the hand reaches the end of the date, it'll flick back to number 1, which is quite nice. And the movement is gorgeous. It really is stunning. 2007, so this is probably a Patek seal. I'm having a look at the movement. I can't see any seals on it. Maybe I'm just going blind. But nice reference, 37 mils. Pretty small. You cannot, it must be very difficult to read this. Tourbillon, something else to mention. Thank you for that. That was mentioned by Raymond. Tourbillon, always appreciated. And it's the way they've done their complications. Again, back then, it was all about scaling down, trying to fit as much as possible into the watch. Between 300 and 600 grand. Ouch. Why put a tourbillon over the dial? Oh, sorry, on the dial. Would have been better without it. They actually mentioned, I didn't notice, they actually mentioned tourbillon on the dial. Yeah, I mean, it kind of ruins the subtlety, right? You want to know that it's a tourbillon without needing to brag about it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to motor on through to number 26. See what I did there? Racing Pulse. This I do not understand. I stopped for a moment and scratched my head when I looked at this. So it's a solar-powered Marie-Francois Martin. I don't know the brand name at all. From 1993, so it's a birth year clock for me. Yeah, I'm guessing it's enameled, right? Gilt brass, solar dial, dome. It's enameled. But the solar panel, I mean, you want to date something, put a solar panel on it, I don't get it. Why this is listed up here, do not know. This should be listed at the end of the show. R2D2BS says that is so funny. Yeah, we can definitely move on from this. This is not a watch. It's a Patek Philippe. Okay, that's something. Solar powered though, really? Why would you do that? And these variants we can definitely move on through, because I don't think most of us are interested in the stone dial tiger's eyes. They really are gaining a lot of attraction and attention. I think it's because of what we're seeing with the new OP releases that came out, and it looks like dealers have really been trying to push these stone dials over the last year and a bit, I reckon. Oxymoron, it is, right? There was another question from tourists saying, when the Heuer was new in the shop, it had a tag with the price. Yes, it did. But I think even at that time, those were still almost prototypes. They were so new back in the day, 1969. So yeah, reference 1601. Nice looking watch. I think most of us can enjoy the tiger's eye element to the piece. It's very attractive. Did I just say that? I'm definitely taking a shot from that. See, that's when that Freudian slip happens. That's when I deserve a hit of alcohol. Only at lot 27. This is bad. So nice looking piece, but not for everyone. It's a little bit gaudy. This is better though. Humbug. That's funny, Perry. I like that. This is pretty gorgeous. Reference 16018. Marked inside the case back at 16,000. That's interesting. 36 mil diameter from 1981, and it's a malachite green dial. This is beautiful because the way the strap works, it's very Get Carter in a way, and I just like how it's still a gold Rolex, but it's subtle about it, and it's also very minimalist, not having elements on the dial itself. I appreciate this. I kind of lose touch when a watch has full gold bracelet, full gold everything else. But this does look clean. I mean, even the stitching on the strap is also the same color. It matches very nicely. Between 15 and 30, this is expected to go for. This is gorgeous. I mean, I would totally wear this. Even though I'm not a gold person, I would totally wear this watch. It's subtle enough. Malachite is actually quite rare, Lester says. I'm reading that comment. I'm not taking a shot from that. Also, beautiful grain to the malachite stone. I also, when I look at things, I try to focus, especially on stones and on wood grain and everything else. It's nice to focus on just how well it's been done. This is a good sample of malachite in a presentation. Yeah, nice looking piece. I appreciate this. Lot 29 next, and there's another one, lapis lazuli. I'm not so much of a fan of the lapis. The malachite to me is the winner. No watch with wind power. That might be something. Megan's saying 110 lots to go. God, what am I doing to myself? We're doing pretty well. What does this have in the back? It still has a it still has a sticker that Petri dish on the back there. That is appalling. I mean, does someone really want this watch sticker so bad that they plan on leaving it looking like that? It's disgusting. Enrique says, yeah, I agree. Oh, that's skin infection waiting to happen. I really hope there's a covering sticker over it and it's been sanitized and sterilized. Not my cup of tea. I mean, really, the obsession of having stickers on case backs bothers me, especially when you get a result like that. Q Maestro, yummy. The next pan, yeah, I agree. Nefarion, germs, yeah. Again, I love the subtlety of a gold watch that has a leather strap or a rubber strap, something that breaks up the bling. This with its minimalist, again, like I said, the lapis doesn't appeal to me as much as malachite. I mean, that is beautiful. I would totally own this piece if I got the chance. Right, 1979, that's lot number 29. We're moving next to another one, onyx dial. If I'm not wrong, onyx is probably the most common of the stones in this space. Raymond, yep, I agree. I do agree. Menthol, classy, Eric says. I mean, it's disgusting. That is really, this one's better. This one looks presentable enough. I still don't get the idea why you need to keep a sticker on the back. What's the provenance there, really? I must also say that the presentation of these watches, the lugs, I haven't even spoken about the polishing and everything there, but the lugs are in excellent condition. Look at the bezel, it's sharp. Onyx dial, probably the most common in this zone, but can't go wrong with black on gold. Very clean. Lots of stone dials. Yes, I think this is the last one, if I'm not mistaken, Dan. And strap-on watch. That's so funny. So funny. Right, going to move on through. So Jubilee, gotta love a Jubilee date just. Difficult to tell the time, but then there is something quite nice about how it's approached. Moving on next to 31. Ooh. Is this a Pearl Master? Let's see. I'm terrible with these references. I believe this is a Pearl Master looking at the bracelet. I mean, this is beautiful. Circa 2019. They actually still make these, can you believe? Welsh Carl, I feed the need. Oh, no, man, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really, Carl, I appreciate it so much. I'm completing your education. Hardly. This is supposed to be, now that we're moving in, now that the alcohol's hit the brain at the 65-minute mark, I'm going to get a lot more dry with my humor and sarcastic, but stick around. It's always fun. It's always a good laugh. Oh, what can we say about the gem setting and the... I find it bizarre how Rolex as a brand can go in the completely opposite direction and still garner the same attention. I mean, these are sought after. Estimate between 40 and 80 grand for this. BS says, I didn't expect you to like this one. Talking about this, I don't like it at all, but I think you're being sarcastic there. Between 40 and 80. I mean, these are like, as we've seen, the Rainbow Daytonas and all those GMTs and date justs and all those other crazy references with all those different colored stones. I don't get it, man. I really don't. I appreciate how they're able to manipulate the colors of these stones and get them so gorgeously arranged as a gradient. But I mean, it just spits in the face of the sports Rolex in so many ways. Okay, I'm going to move on. I think I see the general gist that everyone hates it. Right. Now, I dig this. We can talk about this for a moment. It's good fun. It's good fun. This is a reference 3800, and we were speaking earlier about the Royal Oak that we looked at with the crazy skeletonized complication. This is, I think, one of the clearest examples of a sports watch that gives the middle finger to the sports watch motif and includes Romans on the dial. I don't know why I find it fascinating, but it's, art for art's sake. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of the date window, but do really enjoy the Romans and how they've been placed on this dial in particular. Made in 2000, circa 2000, 37.5 mils in diameter, estimate between 20 and 40 grand. And it's definitely not a watch for everyone, but is Russell joining us? Welcome, Russell. Good to have you here. You've just seen some interesting pieces, lots of Pateks, probably going to have a lot more. And Curtis, I'm going to jump onto your comments now about the Christie's. McQueen's 1963 Ferrari GT Berlinette. Ooh, listed at 1.2, sold for 2.3. God. I don't get it. I really don't. When names are assigned to products, people go mad, ballistic, especially famous ones. Okay, I enjoy this watch for the bizarreness, the juxtaposition, but it's utterly tasteless with those numerals, Freddie says. I don't know why I enjoy it so much. I would totally wear this watch, which is just ridiculous. Ooh. These kinds of watches we can definitely skip if you don't want to have a look at them. I think 1998, between 25 and 50 is the estimate. God. Notice how I'm not reading out the descriptions of these. And when I do, I generally read from the lower third or the lower half of the description, because all of this fluff on top of it kind of ruins it, Yeah, I mean, we can definitely motor on from this. Between 25 and 50 is the estimate. Yikes. Okay, here's another example. I mean, this is just so true to the 90s. We have two-tone. We've got the Romans on there too. What is this? This is actually a service sticker. Bloody stickers on case backs. I don't get it. I'm sorry, Curtis. I've missed all your comments talking about the wealthy couple bid wife and then 1.6, and the husband snatched the bidder's paddle from her, put it under his armpit, folded his arms, stared straight ahead. That is so funny. Talking about the Steve McQueen Ferrari Lusso. Yeah, we can move around from these. This is definitely not for everyone. This is when I draw the line. I'm all for a full stainless steel with Romans, but then when we start getting into the two-tone territory with the Romans, very Wolf of Wall Street. Lester says, I agree. The word rare, I tell you what, it is exhausting. It's exhausting seeing the same word. I'm not kidding when I say that it's ruined my diction, because now whenever I see the word, when I say the word unique, I suddenly get that light bulb switch of saying, you can't use that word. You have to find more synonyms. There have to be more synonyms out there. Right. An early, rare, very well preserved yellow gold chrono. Floating logo. Now, these zeniths were butchered. There's so many of them out there that have been absolutely destroyed. So it's good to see one that is in pretty decent condition. All gold, expected to go between 30 and 60. I think that's quite reasonable. It's in very good shape. I mean, the lugs are sharp as, very good condition. And they mentioned floating cosmograph. I think floating logo on dial. Does that mean floating cosmograph? I haven't seen that very often. It's nice. It is nice. 1988. I mean, it's just typical of that time in many ways, don't you think? The reference 16528. This is when I get lost with my Rolex references, really. I know the 16520 being the steel one, but when it comes to gold, eesh. Zenith El Primero movement. We've been speaking about the El Primero and the Heuer Monaco at the beginning of the show. Should I say at about the half an hour mark? Yeah, nice piece. We've spoken about Daytonas enough. There are a few great examples later on, but it's not a watch that whets our appetites. Not all of ours, should I say. And what happens to ESS logs? Did you just get it? Do you have a Zenith Daytona? Ooh, you have this Daytona? Wow, that is special. I've handled a few Zenith Daytonas in the past, and I mean, the symmetry on the dials. That is the win for me. I really don't like how Rolex has shifted the subdials on the new references. Symmetry, I think, is so important with a chrono. Ask yourself the question, could you read this as a chronograph? Could you use this watch as a functioning chronograph? Question, answer, don't know. Give or take. Lot number 37. Let's move on next. 6239. Here we go with the fluff around this. These are pretty well sought after. Right. So Forbin says, sorry, I detest chronometer subdials. Ring like Olympic rings look. My theory about a very good point. We're actually sitting on quite a good area here to look at these. My theory around the idea of the open rings was purely to differentiate the Rolex chronograph from the others out there. This is such a ubiquitous design identity. We know the full subdials is what everyone jumps on, you know? And I believe that was their design intent, to try and go against the grain to create this format. What it does, I'm sure most of us probably know, is it lessens the visual weight of the subdials on the dial, so you can read the time a lot easier, but then it does also diminish the functionality of the chronograph subdials in a few ways. So catch-22 in many places. You could also say that it gets a bit more jarring to look at from a distance, so therefore it kind of affects both time telling and the subdials themselves. That's my theory. I could be completely wrong. I definitely have thought way too hard about that area, but this is where the chronograph really started. And champagne dial, those, I believe the lemon dials are the ones that are the most sought after in the space, if I'm not wrong. Auto versus manual wind Daytonas. I'm all for a manual wind chronograph. There's something special about it. 6239s, grail watches for many, I think. Overinflated, overpriced, overhyped. Up to you to decide. This doesn't come with a bracelet, which I find a bit peculiar. But again, the estimate between 300 and 600 grand for this, it's just bonkers. I mean, really. Condition-wise, the case looks pretty good. Just remember, these weren't exactly sought after in the 60s and everything there. I do think we will be seeing a 6240 later on, if I'm not wrong. And 6263s. So there are some nice selections coming up later on. I believe the more rare variant in this line is the one with the black bezel. I can never get the reference right if it's a 6241. But all in all, nice looking piece. Okay, again, let's look at this from a chronograph perspective. Easy to read? Yes. I think the one downside is reading the time might be a bit difficult with the gold hands. But reading the chronograph with those contrasting elements, nice. Do enjoy it. Ian Fleming's misses. Interesting. Scots and Russian, Eric. Well, I don't know what's going on in the chat, but by all means, enjoy yourselves. Right, to lot number 38. So now we get to the Paul Newman owned Daytona. 6263. As far as I know, this is the watch that's featured on Matt Aranik's A Man and His Watch. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the case. This I've actually handled before. I've handled a variant of this, reference like this, and it is one of the best in this category, I think. It's one of the best when it comes down to being used as a chronograph. Time-telling wise, it can be difficult to read the time with those reflective batons and hands, but as a chronograph, very functional. The reverse panda is stunning. The aesthetic of this watch I find appealing. You have these large crowns. They feel oversized next to the size of the case and everything there. The bracelets, everything, it's just compared to today's proportions, a bit different, right? And just small touches. I mean, I do miss elements about the classical designs of watches where they incorporated elements like serifs on their subdials, and numerals were taken a bit more seriously, and there was still a bit of beautification behind the pieces. There's the man. Is that Joanne Woodward? I hope I'm getting that right. And this watch has been seen on covers and everything else. So yeah, it does have some prominence. Newman famously wore his Daytonas without the crowns screwed down, as far as I know, because, I mean, it's a manual wind, so it's much more accessible to wind the watch when it's on the wrist and everything there. So it's great. I mean, this is also lined up with the Steve McQueen. That's his daughter. Lined up with the Steve McQueen Heuer. It's a nice bit of provenance and history. Lots of photos to accompany it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the estimate is to say it's going over $1 million. It won't fetch the same as the 6239 that we know. I mean, what is all this about? I don't know where these. Maybe this is maybe. Oh, I'm guessing the sale of this will go towards foundations. Okay, makes sense. In Africa somewhere. I'd be very interested in knowing, actually. If anyone knows in the chats, it'll be good to know for my interest. But overall, nice piece. We enjoy this reference quite a bit. I think it's one of the best Daytonas in this category by far. I would honestly probably opt for this over the 6239. I don't know why. There's something about screw down pushes that I appreciate, even though you would never practically use this in the water or anything there. Megan, thank you for the super chat. And everyone else, it's just going ballistic in the chats. Instead of rare, exquisite, incomparable, superb, excellent, exceptional, matchless, unique, outstanding, special, unequaled, consummate, or whatever, great, unparalleled, superior, superlative, touristas, I'm going to use those words. I've got to make a list. I think I'll have them on my wall to read out. So now there's expectations about the prices. I don't know what this could go for. I mean, I think the one I handled was going for something like 40,000 pounds, and that was maybe end of last year, roundabout, if I remember right. So yeah, I mean, provenance, when the watch is attached to a name, it's just ridiculous how these prices climb. They just climb higher and higher. And ESA is saying my Daytona is the best. I mean, it is nice. It is really nice, gotta say. Zeniths are awesome. I appreciate this watch for it feels very much like a Daytona. It's that transitional element, that transitional area, There was one end of 2017 went for 25 million. Really? This reference went for 25. Oh, God, I don't know. One side of my family go back 350 years to Jamaica, Hans said. I mean, we're talking about heritage and everything there. I don't know my family history and my tree, but you know how it is. Yeah, so it's a good time. Nice looking piece. I think the red accent does complete it a bit more. Does this have like a key word or a key name assigned to it, like Dark Lord or everything there? Very similar to the Speedmaster. I mean, they're going to have, I think there are some Speedmasters. What I find funny is that we don't ever see the early reference Speedmasters or Seamasters, Railmasters featured on these auction listings. But you see a hell of a lot of Daytonas and the supposed super hyper rare variants. It's funny. I do find it entertaining. Anyway, I'm going to motor on. I got to motor on. Megan does have one of these in her collection. Yes, I believe you do. And yeah, I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate the aesthetic. It's nice. It is very nice. 37 mils. It'll be interesting to wear, to get a bit of wear time and a bit of history with it. Okay. Lot 38. So this is do they call this the Big Red? Thank you. Nice piece. Going to move on. The Paul Newman Daytona. This, as far as I know, it's the one that was featured on Matt Haranik's cover page. And I think it says drive slowly, Joanne, which, like, I don't know, drive carefully. I like. Drive safely. I like. Drive slowly. I don't know. It kind of ruins the whole intention of a Daytona being a racing watch. It's nice. It's cute. Okay, moving on. Debethune. Okay, this is a completely different area we're jumping on, and I'm missing you all in the chats here, talking about family history and everything there. Again, I don't know my full extent. I know I have Scottish and English and German. That's as far as I know. That's about as far as I can draw back. Love the film Local. We're talking about Jamaican here. Okay, so let's get into this. Debethune. So this is a very fine and rare, able inertia, so variable inertia winding system. Okay, circa 2012. Now, there are some enthusiasts out there that know a lot more about these references than me. Again, I'm the aesthetic guy. I love talking about the elements. There are some prettier Debethunes out there, though, I believe. Some much prettier Debethunes. This is when they were trying to get into their stride, and we appreciate Debethune for their articulating lugs and everything there. Right, not bad. I don't understand it, though. I mean, the SS power thing, I don't know what's going on there. Winding power position. Does this mean that you actually see this dial moving around there? It looks like a Mayan calendar in many ways. That the dial looks, did they take inspiration from BBS racing wheels here? I feel like. I don't know. Also very difficult to read, don't you think? 48 mil. I don't know. I do not know. Can you read the time is the question, Lester says. Good point. Highly recommend you try to think of yourself wearing this watch, and could you read the time with it? SS watch. Yeah, I should have been careful with that. Right, so going to move on to lot 40. I think we've Laurent Ferrier. Okay, you see what I mean? We're now jumping into a completely different category. And Art Mallory asking, any Dutch background? Not as far as I know. I might have a small bit of Dutch to my background. As far as I know, I'm predominantly German, English, Scottish. But who knows? I mean, we all kind of originate all over the place, right? It's difficult. It's very difficult to nail down. I should do one of those DNA tests. Could be a lot of fun. Very exciting. So, right, Laurent Ferrier. This is 2020. What? I was thinking this watch was from like 2002, I've never seen this reference before. I'm so used to seeing the standard dial layout, not with a pointer. This is actually a pointer date with a day-date complication, sub-seconds, estimate between 15 and 25. Now, I mean, LF, they're moving from strength to strength. I think their watches are stunning. I love saying assegai hands. Enjoy the idea that a brand similar, like I said about Journe at the beginning of the show, like Journe, like Moser, like so many other brands, they take the classical elements but inject their own inspirations and aesthetics into them. And I like the idea of taking classical inspirations and putting them into something that looks quite contemporary, quite modern. I can't believe this is a new watch. I truly thought this was something from like 2001, 2002. It looks so different next to the ones that we now see. As far as I know, I mean, the organic case form, what is this? What is the actual reference to this? They don't talk about it. It's not like an Endeavor or, Pioneers and models in those lines. So it's difficult to focus on. Much more classically inspired with the straight lugs. But it is a really nice piece. Between 15 and 25. I mean, talk about undervalued. Yeah, I think we do have a few more later on as well. So I'm going to move on. Going to motor. Well, how long are we doing this for? 82 minutes, and we're on lot 40. Good God. I like this. I do like this. I don't know if anyone else has seen this before, but to me, I find this complication very interesting. Right, hitting the wine again. Is it a mistake? We will find out. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name because I'm going to butcher it, but I love the way that this movement works. It's so simple. Everything is upside down except the hour that is actually the time. So 10, as we can see, and the minute hand is independent, so it runs to 10. And these elements rotate as the hour reaches the point. And I just love the accent of the white there telling you what the hour is. You can see it at a glance very easily. The lugs, it's very organic. The offset crown, wow, it's amazing. I've never seen this element before. So what do we call these? Like Templar crosses? I would say it's the nearest to the inspiration there. Fascinating, really fascinating complication. It's platinum. Holy smokes, didn't know that. Offset crown is always appreciated. In a way, I feel like the offset crown does not work with this reference to me. It would be nice to see the crown centered, I think, centered on the case to clean it up a little bit more. This makes it stand out a little bit too much. But then again, if you're wearing it on your left wrist, it's okay because it won't be in the way of your wrist as you're wearing it. Between 20 and 40, I would wear this watch. I think it's so peculiar, but also interesting. The Breguet-esque numerals and everything else there. I'm missing you in the chat again and again. Megan's saying it looks like a field watch, lug-wise. I think you're talking about the LF. BDev says, don't do a DNA test. The kids you don't know, you have made. Yeah, BDev, I have to be careful with that, right? I have to be very careful with that. It's funny. Surreal. It is. It's, art for art's sake. It's not something that is practical, but it's just very interesting seeing how a brand can take an idea and an approach in a different way. I think I saw this on a Watchbox review a couple of months back. Only 85 watches to go. Don't remind me, Megan. Right, we're going to move on to lot number 42. Such good value for what it is. I mean, the movement is beautiful. I love this. How can someone actually go through the lengths of putting 12 individual running wheels inside there, the movement being centralized? It'd be fascinating to see how it would actually operate. 41 mils in diameter, great size, really great. The rounded bezel reminds me of old school telephones, single, what do we call them? Single action, where you put your finger in the hole and you wind it up. What are the old school dial-up telephones? Right, I'm going to someone please correct me. I don't know my ancient history that well. Right, FP Journe again. This being a first generation, I think, 2003. I don't know. I really don't know. This pick is upside down. We're talking about the last watch that we just looked at. Right, so this is one of the first generations, I think. So it has a brass movement. Again, me and Journe, I need to study a lot more about them, but it's very true to their identity at this point in time. I don't appreciate all the open space on this reference. They do manage to do some excellent stuff with their more modern variants. Old school. I think they were still dabbling with how they would, lay out their dials back then, 2003. So that's like 17 years. With a brass movement. I actually guessed it right. That's nice. Yeah, there's too much open space on this dial for my liking, really. But all in all, I do like, again, similar to what I said earlier with the classical inspirations, very modern, very Journe. Not bad. Not bad. But we can see how they've moved. And Russell's saying not a fan. Brass movement. Yeah. Well, they've done some improvements since then. I think the resonance, they've done some really great things with their lines. Okay, moving on. Right, so Roman Goutier, very fine limited edition platinum wristwatch, partially skeletonized. I like this. I like it because the three axis elements on either side has this skeletonized hollow out component to it. Partially skeletonized. I don't know much about Roman Goutier, but someone please let me know. It's the issue with these is telling the time. How easy is it to read the time? And I mean, are you buying this to tell the time? Don't know. Not sure. Circa 2020, between 20 and 30 grand. Again, that's pretty underrated for what this watch is, don't you think? And I just love seeing the variety in this selection. It's not just vintage this and that. We're getting to see some more out there pieces that we don't look at. I hope to do more videos about these kinds of pieces in the future. That's my aim. I love to focus more in on the designs of these bizarre models because it's just worth looking at creatively. These brands have to try and really break the mold in how they're doing their own approaches. And yeah, so we've got a full-on open work. We can see the mainspring. We can see the balance. It's all nice and centralized, which is good. Definitely not a watch for everyone. This is 2020. It's actually recent. So that's something nice. Right. Everyone is just having a go. I don't know. Someone's saying meh. Someone's saying very nice. Definitely not for everyone. And the offset crown, don't know so much. Seeing crowns set there for no real reason does bug me. In a way, you look at the way the balances are arranged on the dial, and you think to yourself, how could this crown be used to complement the asymmetrical nature of those elements? Would it not be better at the 4 o'clock position in line with the Roman Goutier logo, maybe? Could it not just be sitting at the 3? Would it not look a bit better, a bit more balanced? Welsh Carl saying design straps. Yeah, I think I do need to, but I mean, it's such a popular thing. They're everywhere. So it's how do we be a bit different? Anyway, I'm going to move on to number 44. Now, many love this. What do they call this? The chronograph aluminium. I didn't know that. 20 hundredths of a second. Okay, yeah. I think I've seen Watchbox do a couple of reviews on these, and they are interesting. It's Journe's approach to making a sports watch. There are some things that are nice, other things that are, I mean, as far as a chronograph goes, it's kind of cluttered for what it is, rubber bumpers. So that's the thing. All these little black elements we see on the bracelets, pushers, the crowns, everything else, it's all rubberized. So in that way, adds to the sporty aspect. Only 30 meters water resistance. That's funny. Right, more chats. I'm sorry I'm missing you here. Romain Gauthier was born 1975, Vallée de Joux, Switzerland. He specializes in precision mechanics. In college, upon graduation, he started Francois Gollet. Oh my goodness, independent Swiss. Thank you for that, Touristas. You guys know the history much better than me, I can tell you. This is all new stuff to me, primarily. Again, I'm just looking at the aesthetics mainly, primarily. Centigraph looks ugly, Hans said. Was it Hans? No, it was Enrique. It's definitely not everyone's tastes. I do believe it does line up with Journe's identity and the way the dials have been arranged, but it does look very bug-eyed, don't you think? Buggy bumpers. Yeah, it does look kind of bug-eyed in the way they are positioned. Yeah, it's clean, but it's also jarring. I mean, for time telling, how do you tell the time on this, really? Wikipedia, Touristas. This is bad. It's bad of you. So yeah, it's not a watch for everyone. Definitely a sports piece. 42 mil. This doesn't look like 42 mils on the wrist. This guy must have a pretty big one. Between 30 and 60K, it's expected to go for circa 2011. I think they're out of production now. Yeah, it's not everyone's choice. Don't worry, we're going to be having a look at some Richard Mille's later on, so that should be entertaining. SS saying this is your favorite F. Journe. I like the fact that it's them dabbling in the sports watch arena, and in a way feels very true to their identity. They're still not deviating from their typeface. The way the dials are arranged looks very true to form. It's just a bit cluttered. A little bit cluttered. Right. Guy must have a pretty big one, Neferion. Yep, I know. Punny for days. Innuendos for days. Right. First Panerai. There are a few of them. There are a few Panerais coming up. Pam 00700. A fight. Carbotech TM. Oh, geez, they're trademarking their stuff now in their descriptions. Okay. 49 mils. Ugh, how is that possible? Right. Carbotech. I don't know what the consistency is, what the balancing of the material is, but I would imagine it's a composite, very similar to, maybe it's like a ceramic of sorts. Don't know. Puddle diver, as Eric says. Do enjoy the blue accents. It kind of reminds you of PVD coating, but it's much better because it's my gripe with PVD and materials that aren't true to form is that it doesn't fully express the material that you're looking at. Here we're seeing something that is essentially forged carbon, and you can see the grain in it, and it's a true material. It's representing its color correctly, you know. Samurai saying literally grocery shopping while on the stream. Tell you what you guys are doing. Thank you for actually joining in and for listening in. Really, don't mind me. I'm just background noise. I hope I don't put you to sleep while you're shopping, Samurai. That's the aim, not to do that. The next one that we're going to have a look at in a moment, I find very appealing. Just can't warm up to the Panerai brand. BDev, it's difficult to. It's questioning how we can start to revitalize the brand. Is there a way that this will come back? Because we're going to be looking at some Stallone pieces later on. And I mean, that really the film was Daylight, right? Daylights that he wore the watch in. And it started the whole craze back then. So, right, talking about appendages. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one because I really like this. Funnily enough, they call this the Lab ID. I was consulted in this project, and I said no problem. I think it was primarily made for the Phillips auction, if I remember right. And I said, as long as we have rare and attractive engraved somewhere in the case, we're in good shape. I dig this. I would totally wear this watch at 49 millimeters. I could wear it around my ankle as an ankle tag, ankle monitor. Such a huge hunk of carbon. So again, we have another forged carbon case. It's funny because the Panerai enthusiasts out there, Thomas, if you're with us, Goose, he loves his Panerais, right? But he doesn't appreciate the way they've done the loom and everything here. But in my opinion, I think it's a nice way of modernizing it. I appreciate how it stays true to the Luminor in many ways. I mean, the Luminor is all about this highly luminescent piece that you can wear as a dive watch. And I think just the added elements on the crown, I mean, on the crown guards, all of this glows. And I find it fascinating. It's kind of like that, oh God, what's that show? That movie. Don't remind me. I think it's also kind of tacky that they've illuminated the name and the lab ID. That's not necessary. Mini Frisbee. It's funny. It's called what's it? Tron. Thank you, Russell. That's just what I was about to say. So Tron. It kind of reminds you of the Tron. I guess that's where they got their inspiration from. Maybe. I feel like this is a way for Panerai to modernize their watches. Use these prototype-esque materials as well as incorporating loom, because the Luminor, and it works. It does work in that way. Carbotech, I appreciate it because it's a forward-thinking technology. 70-year guarantee. That's another thing, Thomas. What did they mention about this? The way they've done the movement. Hold on a second. Did they say 3-day power reserve, international warranty? Now, how are they going to? We actually discussed this on the Flip and Zippo show. How are they going to guarantee that? I mean, 70 years is ridiculous. I'm guessing they fully reworked the movements. Fascinating. I really do enjoy it, and I've been talking about it way too long. I think as far as modernizing the watch, 49 mils is a little bit excessive, got to admit. I mean, can anyone wear a 49 mil watch? It's huge, right? It is huge. No lubrication. Is that the case, Enrique? I really don't know. I would imagine. I feel like they've reworked the entire movement so it can fit properly. But I just enjoy the way they've done the loom, and they've tackled it a bit differently. Lubricant free. Thank you for that, Thomas. So the PAM 1700. Interesting piece. Something you could pay attention to. Oh no, what did I do? Right. So what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to copy this and paste this link in another tab, just so we have another one open, because guaranteed I'm going to do it again. The problem is, now that we're stuck here, I can't zoom out of the image. It is appalling. All right, let's go back down. Sorry, everyone. Another technical glitch, another slip up. Next Panerai on the list. This is a culturally important Panerai, because this is the first of the Stallone watches. And many things about this. Again, the watch worn in daylight. If you have seen this short clip of Stallone talking about it, he mentions that he saw the watch in the background, and I mean, he popularized these things circa 1993, and I think there's all sorts of provenance linked to it. This is pretty nice. I gotta say, this is something that people will appreciate in the collector community, especially the Paneristas. I mean, and he did mention in the video too that he wore the snot out of this all the way through the filming of the series, and it looks in such good condition still. Really, really does. So yeah, reference 5218. I'm not a Panerai nut, so I don't know the full extent. But mention about down to earth. Good save. We're talking about saving the. Don't worry, I've done this a few times before. From experience, from your mistakes, you learn. Got to keep about 15 tabs open because it's going. And Eric says very talented. I think you're talking about Stallone, right? Yeah, I enjoy the way this Luminor has been done. There's something about the sub-seconds that, in a way, it's nice to see that it counterbalances the crown and the crown guard. But then there's also something gorgeous about just having a clear, simple layout. I would totally wear this watch, honestly. 44 mils, I could rock, maybe, somehow. I don't know. Maybe with a proper strap setup. But it is stunning. It really is great. Only 30 atmosphere. Okay, 300 meters, right. So again, this is the first of the Stallone pieces, and really nice presentation. It is one of the originals of the... it's the watch that began the Panerai trend in the 90s that has since simmered down quite a lot. Right. Moving on next to... We've been running the show for 99 minutes. What does that equate to? That's 1 hour 40. We're doing well. And we are on 48. We are not doing well. We're doing terribly. We're doing terribly. Okay. I'll try and run through some of these a bit faster. So, Right. Johann Blake, Richard Mille, not for everyone. Again, if you watch, please watch the Stallone clip on the Phillips page, because he's wearing a solid yellow gold Submariner or a GMT, I can't remember, and he's selling off all his RMs. So what does that tell you? Could you do a Stallone impression? Adrian, I'm definitely not going to try that again. Sorry. That's the alcohol. Yeah, Johann Blake. Interesting inspirations, I got to admit. There's some nice aspects. I guess this is probably signed by Richard Mille. I don't know, or who knows. Richard Mille does do some interesting inspirations with the way they've arranged their dials, and very lightweight and minimalist. Thanks for trying. I tried. Numbered 11 of 50. Okay, moving on next. I can't stand looking at it. Now, these are cool. I do enjoy this just for the, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a Richard Mille in a way, you know? So what is this? Titanium, dive watch, chronograph. I like the little things like the running seconds, the reserve de marche, running seconds aspect. All his signatures and stuff assigned to it. I think this is nice. Actually seeing the running seconds around this kind of like radioactive element there. Hell, it's a pretty legible variant, don't you think? It's pretty legible considering the other models that we know and love in the Richard Mille line. It's also just so cluttered though. So in order to use it, as far as I know, these little ratchets on the bezel, you have to push both the buttons down to rotate the bezel. Very outdoors focused. I do appreciate that Richard Mille, with all of their peculiar tonneau shape variants, can also go in a different direction when it comes to dive watches and those pieces. He knows that RMs are going to crash. I mean, it's one way to market the pieces, just getting rid of them next to, oh, it's funny. Between 60 and 120 is the expectation price. I mean, that's unbelievable. You're dealing with a rubber strap. Is this titanium? Probably. He wore in the film Expendables. Okay. I'm reading the description now because I can't stand all the fluff around it. And he does mention in that little description on the Phillips page, the Phillips video, that all the focus is on the watches that he now wears in film. So you got to say it has an impact. And we've had a look at classic Pateks from all the years back and many other different variants. We're going to have a look at some vintage Rolexes later on, but here is a modern piece that most of us don't understand, that most of us wouldn't care to wear, but they are in such high demand. It's difficult to understand. The Instagram community, strong. Right, moving to a skull. A rare and highly attractive limited edition nano ceramic, pink gold, skeletonized tonneau-shaped tourbillon. Jeez, like relax, these descriptions, man. So it's a tourbillon-based caliber, very nicely presented inside the skull. If you're someone who enjoys 80s rock, then it's for you, I would say. Contrasting colors are nice. 13 of 30, yeah, it's a bit ballistic. You can already buy RMs round for virtually nothing, Megan says. Interesting to think about what's going to happen to the brand and if this craze is going to die off. There are a few models out there like the RM11s and the 13s and the 14s. I don't know. It's a cool toy watch. Yeah, I think we can all agree it's a toy watch in many ways. Okay, let's move on next. Also, hold on a second. I like this. Didn't notice. If you like a bit of inspiration, the way these balances work across kind of remind you of a skull and crossbone layout. I don't know if that's where the inspiration came from. Skull and crossbones being those diagonals there. First time I've noticed that. Okay, Toys R Us. Okay, now this one to me, I find just... okay, I love it for the boldness, the inspiration that this has, being the outdoorsman's watch. It really feels that way. And it doesn't feel like a Richard Mille. And I appreciate that in many ways. This saying you and yeah, I agree. BDev, if Omega made this one, they would have called it the first man left on the moon. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Right. So we have everything from compasses to bubble gauges. We have, I think there's a pill for malaria or something in there too. There are it's like I can't even read it. It's just so frustrating. And then this I don't like at all. So I mean, the idea behind these covers in the real world is that you use it so that you hide your reflective glass when you're out in the field, right? 51 mils, Russell just mentioned. Oh, I can't deal with it, man. Yeah, definitely not a watch for everyone. I just appreciate that it doesn't feel like a Richard Mille next to the standard tonneaus that we know so much, you know? Between 250 and 500K. I mean, honestly, titanium tourbillon chronograph, very rare limited edition. Okay. Camo, we can all appreciate a camo strap. Again, the descriptions are so much better. One to frighten off the animals in the field. That's amazing. I love it. Wood grain, super tack. I mean, I don't like this. Hey, I really don't like that. That would just, being a watch owner, this would just ruin the aesthetic for me, seeing it. And this is all carbo tech, whatever they call it. Right, these comments are amazing. I'm going to move on next. What strap? Yeah, camo. Can't even see it. It's invisible. Right, we're going to jump on through detachable compasses. I don't know. Hey, now we're coming back down to earth. Back into sky, should we say. Hunting watch. Right, so the reference 16710. A rare New York. Do they call this the Sophia Loren? Someone please help me here. Is it? No, it can't be. I don't know. Someone help me. They say it's rare. So what about this is rare? Is it a transitional? Circa 2000 and you see, this is the thing. When they use that word so frequently, you can't tell what is good and what's not. I've had a comment made about me, the last Phillips show that we did, mentioning that I'm a very rare and attractive man. And I basically said in Phillips's terms, that means common and sellable. So yeah, this is not rare, right? This is the Sophia. No, it's not. The 16760. Thank you for that, Tan. Did I say Tan? Dan Tillerman, Dan. I need more alcohol. No, I'm going to take the coffee. Get the coffee in the system. Why do they list this as rare? What's the deal? What is it? And Sophia's a Coke bezels. Thank you for that. Right. I do find the case is a little bit square for what it is, though. Don't you think? Maybe because it's new old stock. Is that what they mentioned here? Dual time wristwatch. Oh God. See, this is what I just don't understand. We have the people that are going after this, and then we have people that are going after this in the same auction group. And all the buyers are generally the same, right? They're all in the same room. Okay, let's move on next. We've seen enough of that. Now, this is a bit of a travesty, I think, in many ways. So we're dealing here with a transitional 16550. Amazing history behind how we got the Explorer 2 to its current state as we see it now. And they did some peculiar things here. Generally, we know that this is the reference 16550 because these dials went a cream color. And there's mention, where's the bezel? Yeah, it's been polished to hell and back, sadly. Now, I don't know if this has been new hands set on it. I can see that there's no lume on the GMT hand itself. I don't know if this has been redialed, but gotta love a cream dial, though. They are gorgeous. Right, sold to benefit the Institute for Digital Archaeology. Okay. Rail dial. So what makes this watch peculiar is I think one of the defining features of this transitional is the numerals. You can't see it on this bezel, but they are a bit more jagged. But again, this bezel has been polished completely off. Question, does it work? Does it look quite nice? I don't know. It is a shame, though. Thomas mentioning it's a shame. It is a real shame. It just ruins the value of the watch in many ways. You could get it repainted, though, pretty easily, I think. Gordon Ramsay wears this. Very interesting. So circa 1987, between 8 and 12 grand, it's going for. Yeah, nice piece, but it's a real pity. The bezel is one of the defining features of this model, and it just breaks it up so much. Condition of the dial, though, is pretty superb. I don't know if this is a redial. Something tells me it's not. The lugs are round as the condition. Ooh, it has been polished to hell everywhere. Look at the lugs. It's sad. It is really sad when a watch gets butchered. I don't know what this will go for. There's lots of demand for the cream dial, so I'm sure they will. It'll sell for a pretty good price, but at the same time, not the best reference in that line. Right. Whoa. What is going on with that handset? So this is a 1675 from 1969. What is up with those hands? Someone please tell me if these hands have been redone. Please. What? Straight. Those are date-just hands on a GMT. This is what I don't get. Was this something special? Is this rare because of it? I don't know. Megan's saying that the bezel has been destroyed, but easy to replace. No, that's true. That is true. The case, though, I think the case condition is also pretty average, not the best. What is going on with these hands? Can someone please inform me? Um, well preserved, yeah, yellow gold dual time, 1969, between 25 and 50. Now, if this was a error dial, an error arrangement, then that is something to pay attention to. But otherwise, I don't get it. I really don't get it. 1969, I mean, they were doing all kinds of stuff, right? The Daytonas were all over the show. It is a rare 1675. I mean, what does that word even mean anymore, Megan? I don't. It's just fluff to me now. You know what I mean? It's no idea. I'd like to know a bit more about this. Rusty hands. The hands do look like they are original. So was this just a mistake, an error dial of some kind that they arranged it this way? Nipple dial. Nice looking piece overall. Nice presentation, but lugs look pretty good as well. The chamfering's still there, so that's nice. Right. The most root beer. Yeah, it's the true root beer, right? Okay, moving on. We've got so many more. Oh, God, what? We're hitting midnight and we did lot 55. Yeah, strap in, everyone. I'm going to definitely have to motor through more of these. 6205. This being one of the first, if I'm not wrong, the first Submariners to have printing on the dial. So this is between 80 and 60. It's expected to go for. Great condition. Yeah, so if I'm not wrong, this is the first reference that actually had Submariner placed there. Nice size, sitting at 37 mils. Rivet bracelet, oyster case. Very clean. It's always difficult to know whether or not these bracelets are original, though. I mean, they don't actually focus in on the references on the bracelets. But I do love these. I think the scaled down original Submariners are charming as very, very charming models. And has this had a replacement bezel in its life? Probably. I don't know. The dial looks in very good condition. Gilt, 80 and 160. I mean, it's just unbelievable to think. Huh? It's unbelievable to think that these watches are going for that kind of price now. Also enjoy the pencil hands. Something that we don't see very often on these, you know? Yeah, gorgeous. And I think we have a few of these coming up later on. We do have a few of these. Some nice references in this line. Some great GMTs as well. I think we do have a Pussy Galore and a Goldfinger Submariner 6538. Right, I'm gonna move on. Another Patek Philippe. I mean, it's funny how they've rearranged these so much. Reference 552A, 22A, 2017, 48 mil. I do like this, even though it doesn't feel true to Patek's design identity, their language. It is a pilot-inspired reference in many ways. We've had a look at these in the past, I think. We definitely have focused on these in the past. Not bad. Not a bad looking reference overall. Do enjoy that it doesn't have a date and limited to 600 pieces, really. Nice Zenith, the Ferion says, and ESS vlogs. Yeah, it does look like a Zenith. It really does. The indices, there's so many aspects to it. Do enjoy that it doesn't break up the dial with the date complication. Very nice. Very nice overall. But I'm going to motor. I've got to move through some of these here. Those hands are actually original Concorde, nicknamed due to Rolex ads at the time. David, I thank you for that. Really like that reference. I did not know that. So these are nicknamed Concorde hands. That is, so don't call them pencil hands anymore. I like that, hey? Concorde reminds you of the plane. Dig it. I'm going to use that in future. Thank you, David. I do enjoy that element. Right. Moving on from this. Nice looking piece. Not for everyone. Doesn't feel true to Patek. And we were talking about asymmetry. This, to me, is a great example of balance on the dial in many ways. Reference 5726A. Got a day. I think it's a perpetual. No, it's annual. Annual calendar. We've seen a lot of these. Very tastefully done, I think, in the Nautilus line. Actually, one of my favorites, I would have to say. Even though I'm not so much of a fan of these open windows, this is very true to Patek's identity, having these open windows at the base of the dial. Looks good. Does look very, very good. I'm referring to the GMT with that on it. Okay, thank you, David. Again, you know, I'm just spitballing as always. Hands are on the GMT. Thank you for that orange hand. Orange hand knows a lot about his hands. Right. Going to jump through to next. More of these packaged pieces. Again, sorry if I'm moving through these too fast, but you can't exactly see what the watch is in the, yeah. Retrograde date, moon phase, leap year indication. Okay, not bad. Lot number 59. Strap doesn't look right on the Nautilus. I mean, I agree. It's trying to make it a bit more dressier for what it is. Anyway, Grubel 4C. Now, this is what I love. We've just been looking at vintage Rolex, and then suddenly they drop in this insanely. I believe this is a double tourbillon by the looks of the movement. Yes, it is. Double tourbillon, 72-hour power reserve. Yeah, it's a monster. It's a real monster. I've never seen this reference before, and there are much better educated people in this field for this watch. What is that? A cylinder design, Welsh Carl. Can you explain that in a bit more detail? Is that a drug? I feel like that's a drug we're talking about. Proper horology, Russell says. I mean, Russell knows his watches. This is what I love. I've spoken about this before. We actually featured a Grubel on our last wrist shot week. Megan knows someone who would buy this. Yes, I do agree. The tourbillon, this is very important, I think. If you want to get anything about watchmaking to take away from this video, here we are at 115 minutes into the show. The offset tourbillon is important in a watch. When you're dealing with a pocket watch, the flat tourbillon is great because it's not flat on a surface. It's vertical in a pocket. The idea of the tourbillon is to counteract gravity. With a tourbillon that's actually offset, I think it's angled at like 20. You see that it's not actually flat. It's angled at about 20 or 30 degrees. It's actually being used for its base function of being able to counteract gravity, hence keep the watch regulated a lot more accurately. So of all the tourbillons that we see out there, this is probably the most practical tourbillon in the world because it's not just for presentation. It actually works and does its job, unlike so many others that just use them for presentation. We're talking about psychedelic. Okay, I was right, touristas. I'm going to have a look at that now. I can't talk about pharmaceuticals on the show at the 2-hour mark. Yeah, it's a beautiful machine. It is just beautiful. Double tourbillon. There are very few brands out there that do it. I also enjoy how Grubel does the typeface and the handsets, and I want to focus on Grubel a lot more. Yeah, they're shrooms. Okay, I got it. So psychedelic, prodrug, species of fungus. Yeah, I was thinking it was a drug of some kind, but I was a bit slow on that one. A bit slow. Stunning, really stunning machine. Highly recommend you look up Grubel 4C just for a bit of light reading. There's so much to study about the brand. I'm definitely going to do more in the future. Lot number 60. This is rare, as far as I know. Between 150 and 300 for a reference 3448, well-preserved perpetual calendar. This is beautiful. I do think this is a beautiful variant of the Patek line. It feels so true to Patek's design language, even today. And this was made in 1966. Now, we've had lots of talk about the special Goldberger models, and there's lots of them out there. But yeah, I'm not an aficionado in this space, but this is a beautiful watch. Say what you will. The balancing is there. The lugs are gorgeous, very transitional 50s to 60s. The way that the crown recesses into the case is stunning. At 37.5, it's actually an excellent size for a modern day dress watch. Yeah, it's really something to look into. Appreciate it. Lot number 61. This is more true to Journe that we know today. So this being an open work tourbillon with a remontoire. Ooh, very, very nice. So this is what we expect. Offsetting, full open escapement. We get to enjoy the subdial. Between 120 and 240. What? Pink gold tourbillon, brass movement, white gold dial. These are beautiful. These really are beautiful. Compared to the earlier models that we saw, this to me is really exceptional. I enjoy it because this feels much more true to their design language as it currently stands, And Mr. C for the $1. $1 from Mr. C is always appreciated. Yeah, awesome. Someone leaving us, Hans, you leaving us? Thank you for being here, sir. Midnight where we are in the UK. I agree. I could definitely put you to sleep pretty easily. We're only on lot 61. What am I doing? Okay, I've got a machine through these. Beautiful model though. I really enjoy how they've balanced out everything here, even though it still looks modern, it still looks old school. Yeah, everything about it. We can talk about these to death. Okay. 6263. What? This is a reference 6263 with a 6239 stamping. I mean, this looks... Ooh, Oyster Soto. Okay. This is nice. Very nice. Now, this dial is not one for everyone. It's not one for everyone. Compared to the standard white dial that we know, the 6239 variant, this is the rarer of the two. I'm going to take a shot from that because I actually meant it. Right. Arabelle's saying that the Soto means under, yes, or oyster under, yeah. That's what I was going to get to. So that's what makes it unique. Is I think this was the very first. I'm going to zoom in here. Bear with me, if you can see. This was the very first model that featured oyster on its subdial, on its main dial, because it just received the screw down crowns. So this very much is a transitional, I believe. So oyster underneath, because it was the first. So it's basically a 6239. They call it a 6263 because it now has screw down pushers and is technically an oyster case, right? I think that's right. I think that's right. Guesswork at the 2-hour mark. But the issue with this dial is, in many ways, it feels like something that was brought from the 50s, the 40s, because it gives you that school classroom kind of, it reminds you of a protractor, the way the red accents are there. It's, of the two, it's the rarest, but it's not the most appealing, I don't think. But it is, I do like that contrast. Again, this watch is so easy to read. What's nice is that these minute hands can run across the dial so nicely, and you can tell the time well. The chronograph is there. I think it has a Bakelite bezel. Might need to correct me. 1969. Also excellent condition. Expected to go between 350 and 700 grand. I mean, what? It is a nice looking watch. Very nice looking watch. And I'm missing all the chats going on here. Exotic dial, that's it. So that's what they call these, right? Doc BBC, good to have you here, Doc. I hope the morgue is treating you well. Yeah. So there is a lot to this piece. I do enjoy the complexity around the dial here. It feels much more like an instrument, less of something as a dress watch, something a bit more functionally focused, which is appreciated. Beautiful condition, though. Really is stunning. Okay, I've got to motor now. I've been chatting about this way too long. The problem is I sit with these references for so long. Okay, we can definitely motor. So this is Kevin O'Leary's Daytona with a red rubber strap. Between 8 and 12 grand. I'm sure he'll fetch that as a result. Signed letters, donation to One Drop at the Prince Albert of Monaco Foundation. Okay. We've seen this Daytona often enough. We know it. And I guess the signature about it is the red accents. Let's go back to this Daytona. There's mention about the oyster text being different. It is right, David. It's bolder. It's all capitalized, and it's funny, right? This really was like a prototype in many ways. I will be bidding on the Shark Tank Daytona. Love the TV show. Love the watch. Want to add my collection with the 40% fees. What do you think I might go for? He wore 100 plus watches on show. I guess it's a nice novelty to say that you have the watch, but I mean, really, for what this watch is probably, I'm going to predict it's going to go for something like 15 grand, maybe. Okay. 40% on top of that. That's one hell of a price. I don't know if you're being serious, Ralph, or not. It's a lot of money to get for one of these pieces. You might as well be better off getting it gray market if you want the Daytona. I guess if you want the rubber strap, I'm pretty sure you can find rubber beads and everything. This is the signature look, though, right? The red accents is what makes this watch style unique. He only wears red straps, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he's gone mad for red bands. Yeah, I agree. Going to go for 60K. Interesting predictions. Again, this is happening in a week's time, so well worth checking out when the show actually goes. But considering that this is a quote-unquote common steel sports watch in this category, interested in knowing what this will end up going for. I like that it's going to a foundation. I mean, you can never go wrong. I think it's very important. We'll go for over 22. Nice predictions. This watch will sell for 35 to 45. I'm liking these. You really are bumping these numbers up. Again, I'm not someone who knows much about watch prices and the industry and everything there too. But red accent is nice. I do appreciate that feature. Also love rubber straps. Right, I'm going to carry on because I think next up you can buy, you can buy Jackie Stewart. This is something quite interesting. So Jackie Stewart's up for sale as far as I know. Formula One driver, quite a legend. And I read the description because I didn't understand. We were talking about watches, and then all of a sudden you jump to Jackie Stewart's face, and I'm thinking, what's this about? The idea is that you buy Jackie Stewart for a couple of hours and talk to him about Formula One. Okay, a little bit different. There's talk about Monaco, so I guess it's linked up with the racing heritage, and of course we've been having, that's the general underlying theme. I've got a suggestion for everyone in the chat, anyone who's interested. if you got to talk to one Formula One driver, who would it be? You're not allowed to feature Senna or Schumacher. That's cheating. Yeah, not bad. Interesting that you get to buy a Jackie Stewart, though. I don't know how that worked for the 2021 Monaco Grand Prix. Okay, not bad, not bad. Right, moving to 65. Rebellion. Rebellion. This is another section that's being given to the Prince Albert of Monaco benefit, one drop. I've seen this watch before, and this just reminds me of a Richard Mille. If I'm not wrong, Rebellion's been used as an automotive brand, I think, as well. There's a Rebellion car brand. Is this linked to the manufacturer? I don't know. Someone might need to help me. So I'm having a look. James Hunt, Fangio, Senna, Nefarian says, yeah, you're not allowed to use Senna or you're not allowed to use Schumacher. My hot take would probably be Fernando Alonso. I think he's got quite a history. It would be nice to learn a bit from him. Right. DMT design. Yeah, so this is a very peculiar element. I think this is Prince Albert of Monaco, so I don't know the story. Again, all the descriptions are below. So if you're looking at this listing, highly recommend you scroll down and have a look at the descriptions. You'll get a lot more info. Rebellion makes race cars for World Endurance Championships. So I was right, Enrique. I mean, I know Rebellion from Le Mans. They generally are in the LMP2 class, I think. Well, yeah, they're just under the top hybrid cars, if I remember right. Interesting, peculiar piece, got to say. Black DLC coated titanium. I hate it when they're DLC watches. I appreciate a material that's fully expressed properly. Alain Prost, okay, that's nice. Hamilton watches, yes, that whole lawsuit that was going on, that's just ridiculous. Love Iceman. Also was going to say Raikkonen. Mika Hakkinen and Raikkonen would also be two great guys to chat to, I think. They're just no nonsense people to chat to. Right, I'm going to move on. Rebellion, they do make cars. Here's another one. A piece unique black titanium wristwatch with 3-dimensional satellite hour display. Donated by, so these are his watches. Again, reading these descriptions, I tell you, it can be quite nauseating when you see all the rare. And so this is actually a watch from his personal collection. Gotta love a good urwork. This being from 2015, and the way you can read these, very easy to read these dials. Being these elements rotate, we know how they work. Between 50 and 100 is the expectation there. Nice numbers. It's just crazy prices for these though. Just crazy, you know. Do enjoy how they've done the articulating bracelets, how the crown is actually centered. It feels designed, a little bit more designed, more futurism focused, you know. Is that a key fob? It looks like one, right? Okay, we haven't even hit 100 lots and we've just surpassed 2 hours. Oh my goodness. Right, Porsche design. I like this. PVD coated, 24-hour indication, donated by Rory S. Kaplan to the benefit of One Drop Prince Albert Monaco Foundation. Can't go wrong with a Porsche design, PVD coated. Now in this format I do like, because it's very true to the 70s in a way, and a bit more in line with that time period. And you know, they just do the dial arrangement so nicely. It's very German-esque. I think I've mentioned this story before, that I actually had a opportunity to work with Porsche design at one stage. I got a request and I was still studying at the time, so I had to decline. It's crazy. Wherever they're based, they're like in a forest in the middle of nowhere. It's quite desolate out there. Anyway, mentioning about PVD, yeah, definitely not for everyone. And this probably scratches so easily. Because, you know, back then they didn't know what they were doing. Similar to the Monacos of the time. You could literally scratch it off with your thumbnail. But these classic Porsche designs, just so true to form. I do enjoy orange accents. I'm sure Orange Hand is here. More like a 77 Les Paul. Yeah. Not bad. Not a bad piece. Lemonia, me and my movements. Tell you what, don't know them very well. But 40 mil diameter, 1972 estimate between $1,000 and $2,000. I mean, come on. The undervaluation for some of these pieces is shocking. 46.2 mil diameter for this. What? You look at this, you see how deceptive these images are. You would swear that this watch is like 37 mils in size. And you think, you know, 46.2. So we know the big pilot. This is, what do they actually call this reference? It's a pity they don't give you the typical names around these. I feel like it's a 7-day power reserve, which is nice. Hold on a sec. David Coulthard. How cool is that? So we are getting some Formula One influence here. Was he an ambassador for IWC back in the day? I don't know. Don't know my history that far back. I'm liking this. I'm liking these supported models going in. We had a look at these before. We know that the pilots pretty well. Right. JLC 1965 by Bono. You're kidding me. So we're really getting some support going in here. Bono's JLC, fine pink gold, estimate between $1,000 and $2,000. Again, it's like, oh, geez. They clearly see where the demand is. It is a 32 mil diameter reference, though. So everyone's talking about nylon strings and rather go with Stover, and I don't know, the chat's just going ballistic. I'm not a fan of nylon strings, Eric. It's just me. I like it. I like when my fingers bleed. 32 mils. Okay. Well, nice that it's donated by Bono. There's some lyrics featured with it. I don't estimate between 1,000 and 2,000. I mean, that is 32 mils though. God, it's tiny. Next up, this is another Prince of Monaco watch, 15202 from 2020. I mean, this guy hasn't even put this on his wrist. That's quite sad. Funny story. I think the Prince of Monaco actually married a South African. I think she was a fashion model, if I remember right. South Africans generally like to follow each other around the world. So that's how I know that trivia. Right, 15202 is gorgeous. We do enjoy it. It's a watch that I wake up and sometimes say it's hideous. Other days I think it's fantastic. Today I like it. It's the classic. It's the original. Sad that this hasn't even been touched. It's still got all its stickers on. And anyway, watches are made to be worn, don't you think? Moving on through next. We've seen enough of these in the past. Oh, geez. Now there's like 4 of these, if I remember right. This is a perpetual calendar with a minute repeater and all sorts. Piano resonance box. What? Another watch donated for the Prince of Monaco Foundation. Wow. This is quite spectacular, I've got to say. Not a fan of the skeletonized elements. Compared to the first model that we saw at the beginning of the show, this does look a little bit more modern in a way with the hands and everything there. It's actually a split chrono. Wow. Okay. This is pretty amazing. And this has all sorts to it. The workmanship that's gone into this. Does it speak to the Royal Oak's design identity? No, it doesn't. It looks very classically inspired. It's just been slotted into a modern case design. Juan, thank you for being here, sir. It's so nice having you. I hope you're well. Hope you're looking after yourself. Everyone else who's watching this show at the moment, geez, I hope I've mentioned at the beginning, but I hope you're all okay. Keeping yourselves occupied and listening to me droning away about 137 watches in a listing. Yeah. So I think there's 3 of these, so we can definitely jump around. What do you prefer? White gold, yellow gold, rose gold? Obscure models, extremely obscure, and they're 44 mils, as Enrique mentions. Yes, 44 mils in size, which is surprising. Have they ever made standard Royal Oaks at 44 mils? If I'm not wrong, these are generally 42, these chronographs, and the offshores are then jumped to 40, 44. I do like the white gold too. I appreciate it. It's nice. They've even got like a custom box with it. I don't know what this is about. Very interesting. Very interesting. Again, if you read all the literature behind it, you scroll down, you've got a full description. I'll just show you. There's normally an essay attached to each one of these. So, oh my, War and Peace. So highly recommended. If you do have the time, have a look at all these descriptions because we can learn a little bit here and there. Right, jump into number 73, which is a rose gold variant. Attractive, very attractive. And I'm going to take a hit of wine because I just used that word wrongly. It's so bad. See what I mean? I think this is going to be the last Phillips auction that we're going to focus on for a while because it just screwed up. It screwed up my diction so badly. Megan saying bigger, always better. Give or take. And Doc saying my special. Geez, Doc, that's so flattering. I don't even think I want to read it out because I will start blushing. Thank you though. Really, thank you. It's kind of like I just say what I see in many cases, We could do this all night. Bjornar says, you guys, stop it. You're flattering me too much. Here's another one. Is this platinum now? No, this is stainless steel. All of these are going between 200 and 400K a pop. I mean, I guess they are their own thing, and there's watches I've never seen in this category. 44 mil in a standard chrono, I do like in a way. It's interesting to see how they've crossed between 2009 and 2008. These were made. Yeah, got to say. Okay, we've had a look at this enough. The aesthetics are the same. Right, so this is a reference 2, 3, 5, 6, between 8 and 12 grand, circa 2003, 34 mils in size. Wow. Even here, I find that's tiny. With a 43 mil length. Do they normally mention the lug length? I guess that's their way of adding extra marketing to it as well. I don't know. Yeah, you guys are great, really. Should have known we'd never get far. I think we're talking about me and my antics. That's a lot of fun. I must say, the first 20 minutes I was getting warmed up, but I feel a bit more situated at the moment. So we're at lot 75. This technically means we've just passed the halfway mark. Oh my. And we've been running for 2 hours. So we're doing pretty well. Technically, we are doing pretty well. I do enjoy the aesthetics of this piece. The Romans, the subdials. This is a chronograph. Excuse my ignorance. How do you run the chronograph? Is the pusher actually the crown? Because that's amazing if that's the case. It's a mono pusher. It is. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. So it's actually a mono pusher chrono. Elegant, man. Really elegant. For a Cartier, stunning. They do some amazing things. And question is asking, will these start coming back? Will they start becoming popular again? So under the radar. Beautiful. Really is beautiful. 2003, between 8 and 12 is the estimate. I think that's quite reasonable. Oh, now, in the last auction at the Geneva show, we saw quite a few Lungas, rare and attractive. God, stop it with the rare and attractive, man. Between 12 and 24,000 is the expected price. I'm just going to go with it. Why not? Rose gold. It's beautiful, man. Something about these early variants with the contrasting colors, gray, black, rose. Does it work as well with yellow gold? Would it look better? I don't know. I really don't know. But presentation is good. Presentation is really nice. Nice looking piece overall. Moving on next to 77. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. I think presentation is stunning. So where to begin with the Corne de Vache overall? 1950s based. The beautification of the way the cases were done here with the horned elements, the Romans. If I'm not wrong, this was made in partnership with Hodinkee back in the day, I think. And there were very few of these. Now, 2017. I thought these were done earlier. I really think they were done at an earlier time. Stunning looking model, though. I mean, there's so many elements to it. The scarab aspects. There's so much to talk about. Really. Lots of elements here. So it's really enjoyable. I do love this piece for its... The thing about 50s elements and motifs there is that beautification aspect. 1950s was all about this time of re-expressing deco motifs. How could they approach deco again their own way? And I actually wanted to make a video all about beautification and watch design, because today we see that watches are so built for the utilitarian purpose that we kind of miss out on these features. It's definitely not an aesthetic for everyone, though. I can understand that there, but the Corne de Vache is just a classic, and I wish these were made popular. I wish these were actually, in full circulation. Sadly, there's very few of them out there today. Pulsation dial. I could talk about this for hours, really. It's just, I would wear this. I would totally wear this. Love the 5170p, Hans says. I mean, it looks like one, right? But the lugs, it's just beautification again. 1950s, gorgeous, just gorgeous. Right, I've got to carry on. 78. Now we're looking at what do they call this? The albino dial. New old stock. I've never seen this. I thought this was a Snoopy at first when I was scrolling through the listings. 77, best one yet. It is definitely one of the showstoppers. How many of these did they make? Does anyone know? And am I right in saying that this was done with Hodinkee in partnership? Mentioning about subdials, you prefer 2 or 3? Good point, Welsh Carl. Kind of divided on that point on whether or not we like either or. I'm something about I do enjoy the classical aesthetic of the three. I feel like with the Speedmaster, for example, how it balances the typeface with the lower six. It's very nice. There's this quadrant layout there. I have never seen one of these before. So this is actually just a inverted albino dial. Between 12 and 24 is the expected price. We know what the demand is for the Snoopies today, so I'd imagine this is going to go for a pretty good price. Quite crazy. 1997. I had no idea this watch existed. It is a stunning piece. Yep, I agree, Eric. Very, what's the reference? Very Alaska Project. Kind of reminds you of those. Another limited edition. Tell you what, they are everywhere. Now, this is De Bethune in a bit of a different way. Now we are starting to, circa 2020, what? This is new. Now we are starting to see how the brand evolved from the earlier models that we saw a second ago. I love the skeletonized features here, but what makes De Bethune really stand out is the articulating aspects, which I don't think this has. 6-day power reserve, enamel dial, accompanied by a certificate box of origin presentation. Yeah, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. Breguet styled hands. Between 15 and 25. Underrated. David saying that only 36 of those Corne de Vache were made. It was a Hodinkee collab. One of the best. I think I would say the best. They did another good one with Groenfeld, I think, that stood out so nicely. But the Corne de Vache, I mean, if I ever got in contact with Vacheron, I would make the Corne de Vache a, you know, similar to their racing, their 1921 racing piece that they use with the offset dial. I mean, the Corne de Vache could be such a classic. More two subdials for automotive look these days. Yes, I agree. I do agree, Megan. It's much more true to the automotive subdials of today. But there was a mention about empty. Talking about the dial arrangement, I do feel like they are missing something here. Having a sub-seconds, you know, like a roulette color scheme or something else would probably break it up or open it up a bit more. 44 mil diameter. This watch must wear large. I can't believe this is a 2020 reference, though. It feels like something from the 90s compared to the modern, the more like prototype stuff we see today. Right, there's more. Oh, just talking about Groenfeld. Look at that. That is nice. Okay, so what do we have here? I'm going to try and understand it. 1 hertz. So these are the sub-seconds. This is your power reserve. This is your time. They're trying to get onto the Lunga boat in a way with the offsetting of everything there, Lunga 1 aspects. Numbered 1 of 30, between 25 and 50. This is going for limited edition titanium with independent deadbeat. Oh, it's a deadbeat second. Okay. Don't crucify me, but I don't appreciate deadbeat seconds much. I don't like it. It reminds me too much of quartz. I appreciate the watchmaking. It's extremely hard to make a deadbeat seconds watch. For those of you who don't know, it just means that it ticks like a quartz piece, but it's fully mechanical. The one that we most often talk about is the JLC the geometer, I think it's called. Help me out, someone. Love that. I love the way, again, it's modern, still holds on to those classical cues. Feel like it's a much more modern take on the dress piece. Those lugs are gorgeous. Geophysic, was I right, Enrique? Thank you for that. Yeah, deadbeat seconds. Definitely not an element for everyone, but fascinating complication. Again, movement is beautiful. This is so true to Groenfeld's aesthetic as well. Love all those bridges. Nice open spaces there. Right, moving to 81. Another Journe. Isn't it strange how we're seeing such a diverse selection of things? And we haven't even gotten to the vintage Rolexes, which are coming on later. You know, vintage GMTs and some excellent models. 43 Big Mother, one says, yeah. I mean, some of these are huge for what they are. Deadbeat is putting a lot of time and effort into making a nice watch appear like a quartz watch. Not for me. And I mean, that's the thing. It's someone who really appreciates horology. They will grab onto it because it's a serious amount of work going into it. But on the other side, it's also funny because presenting a watch like that to someone, they would just assume it's a quartz, and that can go either way. You know, it's something that deters a lot of people that don't know better. Wow, I'm running out of oxygen in this room. Coffee hit again. Look at that movement. Get in. Oh, I like this. So we actually have a running seconds at the back. Hold on. We have running seconds on both. Okay, so it's a centralized axle that's running through the entire watch. We actually got running seconds at the back and at the front. That's something. It's another deadbeat seconds. Again, I'm not reading these descriptions because of those beautiful words at the top. Nice, very nice. Michael Jackson's watch was dead beat it. That's so funny. Touristas, that's one of the best comments. This auction, man, so many different brands. I tell you, Ralph, this is why I enjoy these. There are some that aren't as good as others, but this one stood out to me. I enjoyed the idea that there's such a nice diverse bunch of watches to look at in one space. And, I just throw in my 2 cents about aesthetics and everything there. Also very true to their identity today, Journe. I love that comment from Touristas. Michael Jackson's watch was a dead beat it. That's so good. So good. Your wit is off the charts. I wish I could be in the chat just so I could throw those one-liners out there. But I'm having to run a ship and I'm having to be the radio presenter for the show. 6006. We know this watch pretty well. Between 12 and 20 grand. I like it because it's an outlier. It doesn't feel like a Patek Philippe. Definitely not a watch for everyone. It doesn't speak too much to Patek's design identity, but it's a cool tuxedo watch in many ways, I reckon. Too many numbers? Yeah, it is cluttered. It is cluttered for sure. I enjoy how it kind of reminds me of the sound holes for guitars with this filigree that runs around it in many ways. Also, just enjoy the rotation of the numerals around the dial, how they actually follow the form of the dial itself. Yeah, we've looked at these enough. We've actually featured them on the show in the past. 5227 with a Tiffany brand. That's something else. Don't see that very often. Again, between 15 and 30 is the expected price. And ESS likes the 6007. Is that the stainless steel with the blue aspects, ESS? If Russell is still watching, I think, no, he doesn't have one anymore, but he did. It is a nice piece. It is a nice piece. I like this. This is pretty gorgeous. It's a G. I thought it would be a platinum. And I don't know what the dial is. It looks kind of onyx, like a gloss element to it. Oh, it's beautiful. Really is subtle. Rare and attractive. Oh, I can't stand it, Bjorn. I'll tell you, it just bugs me so much. It's just everywhere. And using it I'm using it day to day with people, and I'm catching myself all the time doing it. Between 30 and 60 is the expected price for the 5205G. Another very, fine. Glad they don't say rare, 2019 model. Do enjoy this aesthetic. We have actually featured this watch on Wrist Shot Week. It's also Tiffany branded, so that'll drive up the value a lot more. And you do have the 6007 Russell. I get so lost with the pieces you have, Russell. Sorry about that. Talking about subdials look like a pimple. The sundial looks like a pimple, Neville. Yeah, it's good. I do enjoy this in this arrangement. I do enjoy how they've done these windows, how it's subtly arranged, where it's out of the way, easy to read from left to right. Yeah. So I got that right, Russell. You do have a 6007. Okay, good to know. And then we have more of these. Oh, what a massive, very rare and highly attractive. It's a 44 mil anniversary Nautilus, right? Yeah, with baguettes. Okay. Nothing that special. It's a 40th anniversary. Didn't they make like 100 of these? Yeah, they're not that rare, right, Russell? You have one, so they're okay. Baguettes, massive. Come on, stop with these descriptions. It's appalling. What is with all these packets? I don't want to see wrappers around my... The question is, when it comes to listing these, when it comes to presenting these on the show, are they just going to have this on the screen in the background? And, Oral Box is going to be saying, yeah, in its packaging, still have a look. You can't even discern what the watch is because it's all cluttered in there. 1,300, really? That's not rare. It is rare, but it's not, Anyway, moving on. There's so many of these. Right. Rare and attractive. Here we go again. So irritating. So 1675 from 1967, between 15 and 25 with a fuchsia. You got to love the fuchsia. They don't even mention that on the description. Fuchsia bezel. It's beautiful. Beautiful. The condition is spectacular, actually. Looking at the case and the lugs, the bracelets. What a nice example. Everything is clean here. Yeah, you can't go wrong with this. You really can't. It's colorful. And one thing I enjoy about the patina on a vintage watch like this is that it's even when you look at the bezel. Something about the bezels, how they go like this crazy red and stuff. It bugs me. This is just Stunning. Really is. It's good age. It's well aged, fine wine level of age. Zoom in on the dial of .86. Is it engraved? Really? Let's have a look. I don't know. Are we having a look at here? No. The dial here? No. It's not engraved. It's just a standard piece. I guess it's some commemorative 175th anniversary of Patek Philippe Sensation box. I don't know. There's just so many anniversaries there. The colors are amazing. Really art form. Beautiful. Wish they had more photos of this watch. Wouldn't you expect to see some shots of the bracelet and everything there? Engraved, yes, Neferion. I'm getting it wrong. Sorry, everyone. Moving on next to 88. We've got like another 50 listings, don't we? Right. So this is what 1803. Very fine. Do love the burgundy. They call this the Stella dial. Date, oxblood. Interesting color. Okay, we can motor on through some of these because I don't think they are everyone's cup of tea. Wow, this is good condition. Mark III 1680. This is beautiful. Wow, look at that dial. Yeah, it's always nice. I mean, the one bonus about looking at Phillips auctions is that, did I just get that right? Phillips auctions is that you get to see some beautiful examples here. Really beautiful examples. The condition of these, hard to find, and that's why they fetch such a premium a lot of the time. You have to be very lucky to find models like this. I mean, a Mark III, not as rare as the Mark I's or IIs, but stunning. How many generations were there? I know we have a few vintage Rolex enthusiasts in the chat. There were 5 variants of the 1680, I think. Help me out there. I prefer the Stella dial date. Really, Enrique? Have you seen him play? I don't know what we're talking about now. Meters first with open sizes. Oh, we're talking about, yeah, so this is something else that makes this unique, is it has a meters first dial. Case condition is great. The brace is in very good condition too. Nice. I mean, vintage Rolex is a minefield unless you know your stuff. Red accents, it's a very clean dial, gotta say. Right, now we have another. This is just, isn't it cool to think that we just saw the Monaco earlier, we saw a Newman Daytona, all from the same time. And then we see a 1971 Monte Carlo. This is what Tudor was doing under the Rolex name back then. Orange accents. Yeah, I mean, this is just typical dashboard inspired. It's so peculiar. I mean, the 70s was a time. The 70s was a time of just there's just no knowing what was happening. I mean, of course, you had the course crisis going on at a very later stage, and accent colors just changed the whole layout. The question is, how much do we see that in today's pieces? This is very much a style of its time, and most of the time when we see these accented colors, it's for watches that are generally tribute pieces. Are we talking about guitars? Are we talking about instruments? Jazz guitarist? Yeah, Hans says I play too. I do play guitar. I would play guitar for you all right now, but it's 2.5 hours into the show, and sadly the microphone doesn't pick it up well. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to make a plan. Unique. These descriptions. Very nice, though. The condition's good. The gray and orange accents, it's just so typical of the 70s. Enjoy it. This is also nice. This is a proper Thunderbird date just. And the bracelet looks like it's been stretched to hell and back. But it's from 1957. Between 25 and 50 is the expected price for it. It's got provenance and history to it. I mean, this is cool. Does it have a Cyclops? Yes, it does. Red accents on the date window. Appealing. 80K. 80K for the Tudor. Really? Is that what they expect to go for? I wonder why that is, because, I mean, the condition is very good, but these are pretty common. Maybe this dial is unique. I use that word sparingly. If I'm not wrong, the blue dial variants are a bit more common, and this is the more unique of the two. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. Is Carl joining us? Sorry you're late. Don't worry, Carl. We are only on lot 90, and there's like, how many? There's like 47 left. How is it even humanly possible? I'm not getting an RL bags pickup. I refuse, Eric. I refuse. No Fishmans and none of that. None of that tech. I'm not putting tech in a D28. Never. That's funny. 80K. Lemon Song. Lemon Song. Is that a Zeppelin line? Again, 2 hours in, running out of oxygen in the room, hitting the coffee again. I think I had 4 cups of coffee to perk me up for the show today. So these are special. I mean, you don't see the Thunderbird logo, the actual emblem put onto the dial. Beautiful. A really nice reference. And X factor, serious X factor to it. A possibly unique, extremely rare, highly important. Really? It's just it's an Arabic dial with diamonds all over it. Quite cool though. Look at this. How did they get that right? A ripple effect. You know what? I like that a lot because we look at the I know I say because, right? So it's because the Cyclops represents a water droplet. It says yuck. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, but I do appreciate how the water droplet is represented by the Cyclops, and that hitting the base of the dial, that's what you would expect to see if it was a watery surface. I'm not saying it's pretty. I enjoy the inspiration. That's what I say. You have to treat all trash as treasure at the end of the day. The dial is something to look at. I do. Imagine a dress watch doing this. I mean, if we saw this on a Breguet, we'd probably look at it differently. Between 100 and 200 grand. Come on. Come on. Okay, and now we're getting to these more very rare. These triple calendars are sought after. Remember that back in the day, Rolex was doing this kind of stuff. Hey, 1951. Between 150 and 300 grand, this is expected to go for. 38 mil case, that's quite impressive considering what is going on inside. And wouldn't it be nice to see Rolex try again with this arrangement? Imagine they bring out a perpetual calendar. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. Anyway, we've looked at these before, I think, and they generally go for a lot of money, which is, I don't know, take it or leave it. It's really a part of Rolex's past that we don't see anymore. Rolex is now defined by their sports watches, where back in the day they had more of an open-ended repertoire. Is that the word? Right. Moving next to 94. I've never seen this before. Tiffany booklet. What? Check this out. There's a T at the 12. I've never seen that. So it's another Tiffany dial. 5150. Commemorative coin. Okay. So it's okay. So it's a history of co-branding, and that's quite nice. Is that 150 years? Wow. Okay. I hope I'm getting those numbers right. Not bad. It's not the most stunning of the Patek line, but this is very true to a Tiffany. This is as close as you can get to a Tiffany commemorative model from 2001. Between 20 and 40 grand they're expecting to go for. Okay. Moving to 95. We're talking about Brian May from Queen and Touristas. Should I drop some more of these adjectives in? Exquisite, incomparable, peerless, prodigious, superb, excellent, exceptional, matchless, unique, fine, outstanding, special, unequaled, consummate, great, unparalleled, superior. You know, they can use those words and make a sale that way. You know, how long did it take you to source those? Really? I mean, you know. We've seen these world times before. This is the New York edition, 5230, limited edition. Yep. I mean, these from 2017, these are pretty well known. They've made a few of these in the past. Not bad. We've looked at them. And we have some more. I mean, I don't know where these come from 1939. Amazing that handset has survived as long as it has. Crazy. 31 millimeters. That's a little bit extreme. A little bit extreme. The bezel is nice. I wonder if you can actually rotate. Can you? I think you can actually rotate the bezel with teardrop lugs. I like that. But the size, though, 31 millimeters is insanely small. The lug width is probably like 18. You know, it's a little bit of an issue. I mean, it's a world time complication. You can't read that. You can't tell me that you can read that easily. Okay. Moving on to 97. Very rare. 1463. Tachymeter scale from 1959. This looks eerily like a pre-Daytona in many ways, don't you think? 34.5 mils. This is amazing how watch sizes have changed so much in the last 50 years. How the demand has changed. It's on a woman's wrist. I mean, looks pretty good on a woman's wrist, gotta say. Rose gold elements, crocodile, alligator style strap, between 200 and 400 is the expected price. I don't know where these come from. I'm sure there's so many more of you out there who know these references backwards, but I definitely don't. I get lost. As we know, we talk about Rolex and Seiko and all those brands. Within those brands, it's literally an archive of stories to learn about. And you can spend your entire life studying a brand like Patek and still not know all the references, you know? So nice looking piece. I do enjoy the legibility. It's got a standard base tachymeter dial. You would think from 59 they would still probably have a telemeter scale in there somewhere, but you know. Moving on. Okay, these are very sought after. 5270. We've spoken about these at length before. These always generally crop up during the Phillips shows somewhere, and we know collectors really latch onto these. Circa 2016. I thought this was older, actually. It's the full deal. It's a perpetual. It's got everything. Perpetual, chrono, moon phase, day, date, the whole deal. Even got the quarters of the years covered. I love the aesthetic. The arrangement on this dial is nothing to scoff at. It's something really to appreciate. It takes a lot to put so much visual complexity into one space, and they do it quite effortlessly here. You can look at this watch and immediately say it's a Patek Philippe, which is something that you can't say for many other brands out there, especially in the dress watch category. So yeah, appreciate it for that reason. 99. Ooh, 2011. Wow, I thought this would be older. So this is a datograph flyback, as we know. I had a feeling this was a platinum datograph. This was also featured on the cover for the show. And we know our datagraphs pretty well on this page. If Russell is still awake, I don't know if he's still with us. Yeah, we enjoy discussing datagraphs a lot. And this reminds me much of the late 90s, early 2000s. They brought out the platinum variant of this. And the reverse panda aesthetic, always appreciated. It's the only Lunga I've actually ever handled, the datograph variant. Yeah, stunning. Oh, you're talking about there was a bit of delay in the chat. Megan's saying that Dad, this was his first piece, so he got one of these in 2013. Yeah, I love it. It's a very legible chronograph for what it is, you know. Original model from 99 to 2000. Okay, so I got that. That was a lucky guess from me, Russell. The one I handled was an original platinum. I think it was a white dial as well, inverted white dial, and it was from 1999, if I remember right. Yeah, stunning. I mean, it's just Lunga through and through. We've just hit the triple digits. Can you believe? And we've reached, okay, lot 100. 37 to go. Only 37 to go, ladies and gents. I don't know how we're doing it. I don't know how I'm surviving, but it's all good. Right. So what do we have here? Perpetual calendar wristwatch. Moon phase. Yep. We've seen a couple of these before. 2017. Again, I thought this was a much older reference. They are... I think Lunga is just so underrated. They deserve much more attention than what they get. It's sad because I try to promote them often. I've done quite a few videos on the page, and they just don't get seen because they. I find it peculiar that a lot of people, just because they can't afford a watch, therefore they won't watch the video on the piece, and it's kind of limiting in that way. There's so many audiences on this platform, and a lot of the time you're presenting in a completely different direction. So too many circles. This is very true to how Bauhaus approaches would have worked, Neferion, in many ways. There is some element to the golden ratio in this dial. I would have to break it up and look at it in more detail here. But yeah, it's cluttered. We can always appreciate separate hands for the separate elements. It's nice. I need a large 6-cup of espresso. Yeah, I do, Miss Man. I should have an espresso machine in the room, don't you think? That would be nice. And it's 46. Wow, 45. And I didn't know that. 45.5 mils. A monster. Yeah. I think there are more. Another Journe. How many Journes have we seen during the show? Between 60 and 120 for this. A flyback. Haven't seen this. Flyback chronometer chronograph. It's a chronometer chronograph. Okay. Certificate of authenticity. Blah, blah. Nice. 2002. Interesting that even back then they had an idea of what their design language was about. Beautiful. Nice presentation. Asymmetry. And the way the chronograph's been arranged, it really doesn't feel like a chronograph. I'm sure you could just let that hand run by itself, you know. Okay, I'm going to catch up with the chats. If I can, yeah, Megan saying ALS is one of the best kept secrets. I agree. I do agree. You can't pronounce it easily in English, so rappers can't rap about it easy. Yeah, Rolex, Patek. That's so funny. That's so funny, Ralph. I mean, that's probably the case, right? It's all just trends based, and I hate it. I hate it when watches are just focused on as trends. We're seeing what Richard Mille's doing. Maybe it's an area where we could focus in on in the future and see how that area goes and whether or not they're losing their touch. Who knows? Carl mentioning that there are some of us who notice when you do not publish on the occasional week. And the reason for that, at the 2 hour 45-minute mark, I'm going to move away from this now. Nice reference though, beautiful. This is awesome. So this is a resonance, right? Please help me out here. Let's check the movement. I'll know. Yes, it is resonance. This is great. These movements basically counteract each other, going against laws of physics that were previously unknown. This is also a brass movement. This watch basically regulates itself with two completely opposed elements to them, divided by this little tuning fork. Fascinating. It's quite an enigma in the science community. Watchfinder did an amazing video a couple of years ago about it. Recommend you watch it. I've been taking a break from videos purely because of a bit of creative tiredness. I've done over 100 videos this year. Can you freaking believe it? And been focusing on a store. Anyone who's joining now, I do have an online store in the description if you'd like to have a look, have a browse, a peruse. I get in the zone, my Lange zone. I love that in Ferion. Love it. And let's talk about quite a little, and I'm missing so many more of you in the chat. Sorry, guys. Not heard of him, Les. Sorry. Again, I'm clutching at straws here. Did I see the new Coral? Yes, I was saying, did I see the new Coral Red Rolex Oyster Perpetual sold for almost 14K? No. What? I'm going to move across from this to something else. I love this. Eberhard. I'm actually doing a video all about the Oyster Perpetual next week, comes Saturday. A bit of a collaborative exercise with a very well-known online resource that most of us use. They reached out to me and we're doing a bit of a partnership video, which is very fun. I still haven't finished the write-up, but it's going to be, I'm so looking forward to discussing it. I'm working on the write-up at the moment, all about how the OP line has changed visually from pre-2020 to now. And there's lots to talk about. Just how there's been some new life breathed into the line. How I've always felt it to be such an underrated variant in the Rolex category and why it should receive more attention. There's a lot. I'm really looking forward to the video. ESS Vlogs. Thank you for reminding me. Come next weekend, Saturday. I hope to have it done. It's going to be a lot of work over next week to prepare, but I'm looking forward to it. It's treated as like one of the most engaging videos all about the OP that you can find out there. Megan mentioning my older sister just got one of these with the RG movement. Oh, we're talking about the Journe resonance. Yeah, beautiful. Rose gold. There's so much to talk about this watch. It is, when it comes to watchmaking, this is definitely one of the top, I would say one of the top 10s in the world of watchmaking at the moment because of what the complication is about and what it represents. Beautiful. Two movements that run in tandem with one another that basically keep track of time a lot easier. And the Eberhard. Thomas, good to have you here, sir. I know you probably, I would also be falling asleep now, Thomas. Thank you for still being here, Goose. There's so much to study when we look at these dial designs. 1959, sold to benefit the Institute for Digital Archaeology. Between 7,000 and 12,000. Great looking piece. I think the arrows, the elements there, the scaphograph, there's a lot to it. I've never actually seen this layout. Just notice how the typeface has been done here, if you can, on the dial. Beautiful. Just peculiar, but also just a watch of its time. Though that arrow, I mean, what does that arrow hand remind me of? On the tip of my tongue, I'm thinking about it now. A large triangle. I can't nail it. I can't think of there's a brand out there that uses that triangle still today. So 50s, and I enjoy it. Reminds me of the Zodiac Seawolf in a few areas. Okay. I've got to move on. Who are my Trinity brands? Ant says, very good question, Ant. Oh, Okay, I'm going to get to that now. When it comes to me deciding if I wanted to own three from three different makers, I'm going to talk about that in a second. That's a very good point. Goose had a visitor from the front door. It's French maid. Thomas, it's all good. It's all good. My Trinity brands. If I wanted to own three of some of the Hort names, I would definitely own an AP. The Royal Oak is just a watch that infinitely fascinates me because I love it and hate it at the same time. Definitely own a Royal Oak of some kind. A Lunga and Zona, I would love to own just because it's a brand that I think is so underrated. So and those two, I think, are good contenders. And then it's that third spot. I don't know. Thomas, really, no, don't have to apologize. You really don't have to apologize. Omega Broad Arrow. No, David, there's something else about it. I just want to go back to it quickly. The segmented aspects, almost like a Christmas tree. I can't put my finger on what brand uses that handset, but I recognize it. Might be a micro brand for all I know. Might be a micro brand. Okay. So those are the two. At this point in time, AP for me and Lunga. I can't think of the third. It has to be something higher, like much higher up, much more independent. Maybe a Moser. Maybe a Moser in this line. Okay, so now we have a Movado. Okay, reference lot 104, circa 1950, between 7 and 14 grand, well preserved stainless steel. I mean, these are also, I don't even know what caliber this watch uses. I won't be scrolling down to look at the movements. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with the chats. Nice looking piece. It's using a tachymeter bezel from 1950. That's pretty cool. And I'm going to move across. Talking about De Bethune. Oh, wow. Okay. I love these. Right. So we have a no radiations black glossy dial redialed by Aqualung. What? This is a 50 fathoms galore, between 15 and 25. So because it's been redialed, does that mean it's lost its value? I don't get it. That's quite a low projection for this projection for this watch, don't you think? Not a fan of that bracelet. I would toss that bracelet far away and put it on rubber or something else. This is just great. Again, the precursor, 1965. So this is post many of the earlier references, but it's such a good example of an Aqualung. Eric Bell. I'm pretty sure Eric is actually following this this setup on his laptop, or on his computer, so he's able to keep up with the show and check the precursors. So he mentions that Aqualung was the 60s dive brand. 50 fathoms was as deep as they could go back then. 1 fathom is 6 feet, from the Old English word fathom, meaning width of 2 arms. Amazing. Thank you for that, Eric. I've always wanted to know what fathoms actually means translated. That's great. From Old English, eh? Old English. I've been trying to study up on Saxon and Old English. Fascinating how the language has been chopped and changed over years. It's amazing where the influences come from. We've got German, French, Nordic. We look at the days of the week. It's so true to Thor's Day and Odin's Day, and Monday, moon, Sunday, day of the sun. The segmented triangular hour hand is just like the one on the Breitling. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Enrique. I call it like a diamond. It's diamond aesthetic. It's beautiful. It is stunning. We've spoken about these a lot in the past. There's just too much to go through, but it's just a classic. And we're not done yet, because we are going to be looking at one of my favorite Seamasters in a moment. Mille, an oversized rare. Okay. This is, wow, 1940. And this watch is 51 millimeters in size. Made for the US Army. Now, we've seen a re-edition of this watch, made by Longines, if I'm not wrong. Longines has a heritage pusher. I actually made a video about reissue chronos, and they call it like the heritage mono pusher or something else. Wednesday, Odin's Day. Here we go. It's going to be talking all about days of the week and languages. So this is, one of the early racing, or should I say, pilot chronos from back in the day, with the offsetting there, and it's easy because you don't have to turn your wrist to read the time, and the engraving at the back. Look how well that's been engraved. This is awesome. Between 20 and 30 grand. If I was bidding at lot, what we're sitting at now, lot 206, this is the kind of watch I would bid on, because it's great. It is a real classic. 1940. I wonder what this is going to go for. July, Julius Caesar. What have I done? Yeah, underachieving. It does look crooked. Don't worry. Don't adjust your screen. The watchmakers were off that day. Someone in the marketing department had to assemble these. That's why it's asymmetrical like that. Looks like a pocket watch. Yeah, it does. I mean, 1940s, they were still very much experimenting with that whole layout. Beautiful. Really is nice. Dig it. Ah, this to me is a showstopper. I think a dream of mine is to own one of these one day. This exact reference with a large triangle at the 12. I'm not so much of a fan of the next gen where you have 12 and all the other Arabics. I really enjoy that large triangle up there. Right, so this is a reference 165024. We've spoken about these often. Featured them on Wrist Shot Week and everything there. This was the precursor to the Rolex Mille sub. Very prominent watch. This is where the MOD really got their DNA into this and just went nuts with making this the most legible piece possible. Professional case, I've handled one of these in the flesh and they are monsters. They're really big on the wrist. They have such a nice amount of presence. So easy to tell the time. Yep. Even though you know that I'm a diehard Seamaster fan, this to me, if I had the chance of being able to recreate a watch for Omega, that would be me. I dig it that much. If I was asked to create my impression of a perfect diver, I would use this as a base plate. Very much so. I think as far as presence goes, I think as far as beautification with the lyre lugs, the way the crown is done, the sword hands, there's so much right with this. Don't you think? That's just my opinion. Sorry, that's just me. Tritium, we know the story about tritium elements and broad arrows, and this made 1970, as you can tell back here. Yeah. And we saw this being the inspiration for CWC pieces and everything there. Eric Bell knows these a lot. Talking about Thor's Day. July, August for Julius Caesar. Oh, geez, what have I done? September, October, November, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that. Thank you, B-Dev, for that. Yeah, I could look at this watch for hours. There's just so much. There's just visual complexity to it, which I enjoy so much. Take some time to have a look at the elements, and you'll see what I mean. The accented, graduated elements there. The hands. Okay, going to move on. 108. Another 1675. From 1968, between 12 and 18 grand. Integrated rivet bracelet. These cases have been polished, though. Wow. Isn't it sad when you see a Rolex case like this that has been polished up? My voice is going. I've had 3 fishermen's friends so far. Got to get the next one in. Right. Got to thank, I can't tell you enough how Fisherman's Friends has saved me for these shows. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be able to present. Could you not? I wish I was joking, but I'm dead serious. Whenever I need to record something or speak for a long time, Fisherman's Friend just clears me up perfectly. Right. It's a real pity that this watch has been polished. Still in good condition, has paperwork and everything there, but again, vintage Rolex, minefield. Reference, the next step to 108. Ooh, okay. Double red. Gotta love a double red. And the condition is pretty nice. Does it still have the patent? I would imagine this has the patent pending helium escape valve, or were they beyond that at this point? Someone maybe correct me there. There's some serious enthusiasts. Better than shark's teeth, my humble opinion. Welsh Cole, no, I agree. I do agree. What I like, honestly, I would own both the Seamasters. I would have the 57 with the teeth and this next step. It feels just so much like a natural progression. I love the 50s because it's just like that crazy archetype of a dive watch. They didn't know what they were doing. Moving to the MOD spec, it just feels so true to that time and what they were able to do developing a diver then. I love it. I love them both equally, Welsh Carl. I would happily have them both in my collection and be pretty much done when it comes to dive watches. All right. If anyone knows anything about these references, does this have patent pending or not? I'm assuming it probably does. Double reds are one of the first editions of the Sea Dweller line. Do you ever just glance down at your watch and just say, wow, yes, Nefarion, I do. I think most of us do. That's why we're in this space. Have you watched the Mickey Mouse Club? No, I haven't. I don't know what that's about. Nice piece. Very good condition overall. Lugs are in good shape. The little pinhole for the pretty ingenious move, I got to say, for the helium valve. Ideally, you don't need ideally you want a watch that doesn't need a helium valve, but not bad. This is patent pending. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. And Welsh Carl's going to sleep. Yeah, I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK. My first love starting UFC. I'll catch you rest tomorrow. Enjoy UFC. I don't understand UFC. Hey? Like, I know that they're paid professionals. I actually want to ask you all the question. If anyone who's still watching is interested, mismatched hands, NVC. Hold on, are you right? Oh, they do look pretty. They are a brighter shade than the dial. Maybe it's just the lighting, but they do look like a brighter shade. Yeah, I think they have been rehanded. What I don't understand about UFC is that even though it's pretty hardcore, you see some crazy stuff. Looks like another watch with replacement hands. This being a 6536, the precursor to the 6538. Paul is still here. It's amazing. Honestly, you guys are the best. When I see these fights half the time, a lot of them go on for way too long for what they are as these sanctioned fights. When you think of these guys being so well trained, I think of military training and how fast guys can put people down. I see UFC and I feel like it's almost timed in a way. Not like boxing matches. How many rounds can you go for? I get that impression often. Sometimes you see KOs in the first 10 seconds, and that I can believe. But then other times, yeah, you know what I mean. Thomas, thank you for the super chat. I can't believe you guys are still here. It's ridiculous. Andreas just joined. I don't know what time it is where you are in the world, but you're only almost 3 hours late at this point. It's athletic theater, Eric. I mean, that's it, that's how I believe it to be too. There are so many rare and attractive. Anyway, I've tried my best not to mention that word as much as possible. 6538. So it's marked 6538 on the back. Very rare early edition. No. Rare depth rating. That's something. Hold on a second. I believe that there was a variant of this that went for a stupid amount of money without a bezel back in the day, if I remember right. Nice. I mean, the condition is still good. 1955. That's cool. Got a custom engraving, and then we've got a done with a pocket knife. Red depth rating. That's something we don't see. Gilt dial with a red depth rating. What is this reference? 1965. So we don't have the 200 rating yet. 3 a.m. in Greece. What are you guys doing? Honestly, how are you able to do it? Tommaso's N95 mask. That is the best username I have seen in years. That is freaking brilliant. Big MMA fan. Not every fight can be a spectacle. Yeah. Tim, I agree. I love it. Your username is brilliant. Thank you for joining N95 mask. You're doing a good job, by the way. I just wish you were a bit more aerated so we could hear him better sometimes when he presents. Right, we're moving to a 6538 next. What makes this unique, I'm going to use that word, even though I'm still partially sober, is that it now has a 200-meter rating. And yeah, it's because of the big crown influence. What an excellent model. The condition of this is between 100 and 200 it's expected to go for. 1957, it's a 4-liner. Did they all come with 4 lines? I don't know. Someone might need to correct me. There might be someone out there that knows this better than me. I feel like some did come with 2 lines. This just, I find these fascinating. This variant in particular, with the white hand, the red accent on the triangle, something that we didn't see last very long. And it's what all the tribute brands go out and try to emulate today, Such a good example. I mean, how have they managed to keep it in such good condition? Looking at the rivets of the bracelet, it's tight. It's all correct. I don't know, man. Honestly, these are radium dials too, no? Insane. God, I love that username. It's just so good. It's made me laugh. Okay, gonna move on next. This is beautiful. The condition is great. This is going to go for a lot of money. Again, it's extremely rare, Megan. I don't know if you're poking me there or if you're being serious. The condition is stunning. I wonder how many of these still exist in the world. That's the question. That is the question. Next up. Oh, geez, another one. Now, we featured a few of these during the last show at Geneva, and some were in seriously rough condition. Some had been held under Bunsen burners. Subs are just boring ESS. There's something to take away from the originals, though, I believe. The more modern ones, yes, they can be a little bit hit and miss. Excellent everyday wearing watches. We can't kid ourselves. But I think these earlier references are just so charming because because they were prototypes. There was no knowing of how successful they would be. This was in the early phases of the dive watch as a pedestrian instrument. Yeah, awesome. This is awesome. So we've seen a few of these featured last show about a month ago. Some held under Bunsen burners, some that had the one with the worst dial I'd ever seen in my life that I nearly fell off my chair laughing at was because it was worn across, because I'm going to get this wrong all the time. It was used across the Sahara, I think. Yeah, condition of this is very nice. Between 40 and 80 is the expected price. How beautiful. I mean, 1963, I thought this would be older. A 6238. Hold on a sec. Was this the reference just prior to the Daytona? The first Daytona. Andreas, trust me, I don't even read the descriptions anymore. I've said this now, that the top region of the description I don't even look at. It's just pointless. They need to get rid of it. Okay, talking about Ibanez and going back into guitars. 113. Another. Wow, this watch looks brand new. How did they get that right? Amazing. I'm trying to get this present. Is it okay? Can you see this fine? I hope you can. This is incredible. Again, they do these stupid descriptions. They should mention that this watch looks new, old stock. I would be buying this. I would totally be buying this. The case is immaculate. I love that printing there. Can you believe it? Okay, this is one of the best I've seen of the show by far. You would swear that this is a new listing. Like this is from 2020. Amazing. We saw an earlier one of these with a pointed date and everything there, but this is, wow. Rose gold or pink gold. Pink gold, triple calendar, moon phase presentation box. Between 300 and 600, I can agree. Andreas, you'll stop now. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. There was someone who mentioned that I'm a fine and attractive man at one point, like a couple of days ago, and it was the funniest thing. This is incredible. Okay, moving on next. Stunning. 113, well worth attention. And then we move to a classic VC from 2015, inspired. It's a patrimony, right? Would they call this the patrimony? I don't know. Not so much of a fan of this presentation. They've done some incredible patrimonies in the past with the subdial at the 6, large subdials, no subdials. This asymmetry is a little bit out of the way, a little bit kind of like a winking eye. Not the best. Barisha, thank you for the super chat. Do you plan on having a dialogue with Archie Luxury? No, probably not. He doesn't want to talk to me, honestly. There are very few out there that I think want to talk to me in general. Considering what I do, I mean, I'm just talking about aesthetics, and when it comes to movements, I am the worst. I am the absolute worst. Scroll up 6, Eric. Are you talking to me? You talking to me? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat, Barisha. Hope you're all awake and still enjoying the presentation. I don't know what's going on next. Sorry, Eric. You mentioned steep and scroll up 6. Did I miss something? Notice they're using the same leather strap on the watches. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Really? That's bad. Just look at the difference between these two. I'm guessing it's something that they have in store. That's funny. First time I've seen that. Thank you for that. Pretty sure it's a traditional. Thank you, Henrique. You're probably right there. Now we're moving to, how many more of these do we have? We have 22 more to go. Not bad. A large, impressive, rare, white gold limited edition, minute repeating. Okay. 43 mil diameter, not a bad size, 2007. They don't even show you the movement. How can you have a watch, a minute repeater, and not show the movement? Really? I don't get it. I don't get it. Junior Johnson, are you off? Are you off to bed? Thank you for being here, Junior. I saw you here earlier, and it's an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you, everyone who's been joining into the show. It's been a good time. Like, the variety has been amazing. There's still some to come. Some good stuff. How can you have a minute repeater and not focus in on the movement? Numbered 190 of 250. Okay. Does this speak to IWC's identity? I think it does. Typeface does feel very Portuguese-ish. Not so much of a fan. See, we're dealing now with a ratchet on the side for the actual function of a minute repeater. This subdial probably be better at the 6 to balance out the IWC type and just to balance out where the crown is relative to the lever on the side. Not bad, but could use a bit of work. And then these last listings, I know we're probably going to get very classical. 5717 from 2011. So this is between 20 and 40 it's expected to go for. A 44 mil diameter Breguet. That's something else. They've only been, this is the second Breguet I think we've featured on the show. How's that? The first one was a Type 20 at the very beginning. I just love how they keep to their identity so well. Looking at the way the crowns have been placed here, I think this would have probably been served better if it was at the 4 o'clock, balancing out the watchmaker's 4 with the 8 and that crown there. True to form, again, you can't, oops, hit the mic. Again, you can't really manipulate these watches when the movements are arranged in such a way, you know. You guys are Eric's chatting about deco and everything there. It is beautiful though. Having a look, so it is a world time complication. I think you've got all of that arranged. Just very true to Breguet's language with the lugs, with the coin edging, all of that. Clean, simple. Laurent Ferrier, wow. Okay, this is quite the showstopper. Enamel, Cloisonne, sorry. Always get that name wrong. Pink gold, dual time. Wow. This is beautiful. I wonder how many dials they've made into various arrangements. You know, there's probably some for the American market, some for the European market. Wow. If Russell is still awake, I don't know. I don't know if he is still with us, but this is something that would probably pique his interest, I think. Oh, beautiful. Organic, simple, but also highly complicated for what it is. Dual time. So you're actually able to, so you've got the date complication over here, right? And then you have your separate time zone plus standard time. Very elegant. Nice piece. Okay, got to keep on motoring. We've got 20 more listings left. Thomas, very nice. Yeah, thank you for still being awake with us, Thomas. I'm sure you're probably on the brink of falling asleep. And Eric saying, take my time, young man. I don't know if you're talking to me or Hans. Right, this is exceptional. Really is a beautiful model. Stunning. Next up. Okay, this is a early, well, I thought this was a much earlier reference of a Journe, 2017. Another one of the, we saw this at the very beginning of the show, numbered 67 of 68 pieces, digital jump hour. Okay. So this is them trying to tackle the Lange Zeitwerk in many ways. 37.5 mils. And if we know anything about watchmaking, it's very difficult to get a mechanical watch to show digital readout. Maverick is still going. I don't know how you guys are doing it. Megan, Thomas, Goose, and Maverick are still going. I don't know what I'm going to nickname Eric. Give me another nickname for Iceman. I think Eric can be. That's a very good Eric. You're Iceman from now on, because you love your diving in the freezing cold water. So to make an automatic mechanical watch, is it automatic? No. To make a mechanical watch read digital type, very difficult. Extremely difficult. So what they've done here is quite a work of art. Only made 68 pieces. Between 35 and 55 is the expected price. It's going for another strange FB Journe. It doesn't feel true to their design language when we consider the ones that are popular. Yeah, I don't know how you guys are still going. Thank you, though, for being here, really, everyone. This, to me, is one of my favorite pieces of the show as well. The Vagabondage. Is that really a name of a watch? That sounds so, BDSM. Right. This to me is, wow. There's only a few of these. Reference 5088. It's enamel. The enamel dial is beautiful. The engraving, I just see Baroque influences. Ugly Duckling. I don't think you're talking about the FB Journe, Megan. Yeah, it is definitely a strange animal. When we talk about the Baroque styling from back in the day, this to me with the filigree there, it's stunning. I would totally wear this watch. I'm not someone who's a dress watch person, but this to me, if I had to own one Patek, I would probably rock this. 38 mil diameter. What else does it have? Just a gorgeous enamel dial. It's got a platinum case. These were quite spoken about when they were released. I don't know if Patek has made anything similar to this since then, but the real gas escape bubble, I don't know what you guys talk about. What, Iceman now, Eric? I don't know. Yeah, to me, this is one of my favorites in this lineup too. There've been some excellent pieces, really. I mean, we had lot 119, going to 120, and there's still so much Oh, geez, we've looked at these enough. 5270p, another. This is a salmon dial, so it's the most sought after in this range. So 120 to 180,000. They probably still have stock of these. Are we talking about the Patek? Probably. This watch, similar to the 50. What was the reference we had to look at earlier? The 5370, rose gold. This also very true to Patek's design language. But again, it's just another. It's salmon dial, so of course it's made to be sold. It's made to be popular and sought after. Andreas asking, aren't the Middle Eastern and Asian market huge for those Laurent Ferriers? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. They have outliers in this category. They're definitely outliers. I wouldn't say that they are the most popular for that marketplace, for that audience. I'm on this assumption. I'm thinking that size plays in a great factor when it comes to wrist, watches and their presence in those parts of the world. Maybe I'm wrong. This is all guesswork. Yeah, so this is pretty nice. I mean, salmon dials. I've done a video about salmon dials, and these are now used just to market and make them more desirable today. But compared to back in the 40s when they were really popular, 30s and 40s, salmon dials were the rave. Yeah, beautiful though. Really is. Gotta love a good salmon dial. 5270. Did I get it wrong? I said 5370. That's a different reference. Okay, moving. Ooh. Okay, that's a little bit different. 9401. This has got an ETA, right? There's an ETA caliber in it. From 1976. Who doesn't like a Tudor snowflake? Yeah. I so wish that they were able to do this with their new stuff. A very rare, is that so? So it's a Marine Nationale. That's nice to know. From 1975, and good condition, really good. The dial is in very good condition. Speaking of which, does anyone out there have an MN or a couple of Marine Nationale variants in this space? Bleached bezel, yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty legit. Don't know if it's been replaced. The dial is in excellent nick. You can still find these out there. I've handled a rare one. South African Royal Navy, only made like 12, and that was nice. They're just great. I think that the way they've done the aesthetics with these, the sharp elements, the hands, you know how I feel. Great model, great example. Moving to 122. Wow, this watch has been polished. Good Lord. 1655. Have one of these. Yeah, I mean, they are awesome, Megan. They really are. This, though, what have they done to those crown guards? Shame. 1967, 1655, double prints, double red. Nice tropical effect, but wow, this watch has been pretty butchered. I really pity those crown guards. Accompanied by original guarantee and presentation box. Wow, okay, not bad. Yeah, overall, it's another one of these double reds. The first one that we saw was in much better condition than this. I would take a better condition case to one with a tropic dial, personally. I know the collectors would probably look at it otherwise, but I don't like it when a case looks like it's holding on by a thread. Those crown guards look like they could be snapped off with your fingers. Anyway, I know that's not the case, but yeah. Nice looking piece. It's good to see even tropicalization. Yes, as mentioning nice color. It is nice to see when there's a clean tropicalization. It's not, clustered in various places, and there's great contrast between the red and the brown. Yeah, a gem. Charming, very charming. This one's not for me. No, me neither, Megan. It looks like it's been minced. Okay, got another 6542. Nice story attached to it. So, formerly owned by D.L. Pratt, an engineer on the transatlantic, transarctic expedition of 56 to 58. Ooh, so this saw some action back in the day. I can't believe the condition of this. Wow. Between 60 and 120, it's expected to go for. Who doesn't like a Pussy Galore Pepsi GMT? Gotta appreciate it. Very nice. Between 60 and 120. I would imagine it's probably going to go for more than that. I don't know if the bezel's been replaced. You can tell me otherwise. 38 mils. Nice to have a bit of story to it as well. It's amazing how we get to see these pieces just crop up in places. And Doc, how are you still watching the show, Doc? Really? Jeez. 1655 is so tropical that I bet it was used and abused once upon a time, polished because it was beat up, just a guess. Doc, I can't believe you're still watching the show. Thank you. Really, thank you profusely for sticking with me and listening to me prattle on about these pieces. Yeah, I mean, amazing to think. I mean, this watch being worn across the Antarctic doesn't seem like it's seen a lot of action considering the divers that we looked at. That's another thing. When you're dealing with a watch of this size, 38 mils, because its presence is smaller on the wrist, the chances of you smashing it against something is less. So therefore, the condition probably would last longer. He probably wore this under a lot of clothing too, so it never really saw much of the air in that part of the world. There's all sorts of factors, I guess, that contribute to the age of these pieces, and it's difficult to hammer it down. But yeah, the condition of these, they are beautiful, just beautiful. Megan says, yeah, Pussy Galore is great. She is beautiful. Go for a substantial figure. Yeah, I'm sure it would. More than its current asking price. The one that we saw at the Geneva auction was better, though, I believe. Highly recommend if you have a look at that show again. As far as I know, it didn't sell, if I remember right. But that one was in immaculate condition. Better than this. But yeah, moving on to 124. A Comex 5514. Nice. Barisha, thank you so much. Don't worry about the distraction topics. I love it. It's nice to get my brain thinking in another direction. Thank you for the super chat. I was wondering what you prefer in general, JLC or Glasuta. Both for horology, for less, according to some. I would go JLC, personally. Glasuta Original does some amazing stuff, don't get me wrong. Their movements are beautiful. I think what I just love about all the brands, both of them, is that they're so true to their own direction, what they're doing. I don't think Glasuta is as focused on, their real foundation pieces just as much as JLC. We think of JLC, we think of the Master Control Thins, we think of the Reversos. Much easier to name their pieces. That's what I would jump if given the chance. I mean, I'm seriously considering a JLC as my next piece. I might just skip Rolex altogether and jump on JLC because there's just so much to them. I love them. I would personally go for JLC and pick a Lunga over Glasuta, but then we are dealing with different pricings there. But great question, though. Thank you for that. Loving it. Red and salmon color dial will always be highly collectible. Yes, will always be. So this Comex is in excellent condition. Another great example here. Let's have a look at the lugs and the beveling there. Sharp, clean. Wow. I'm impressed. 1978. These are going for such, I mean, between 60 and 100K. There's no mention here if it comes with booklets and everything, so that's a bit surprising. But wow, condition is good. Hands are original. Looks like the dial's in great shape too. Bezel, if that's the original bezel, this watch was probably worn by one of the engineers behind the computers. This was not a work watch. JLC, Slaughter's, Rolex, and I mean, Raymond, you can't even compare the two really as it comes to when you talk about brands and the quality of work that goes into movements and everything there. They are very different though. I mean, I wouldn't go knocking my JLC around as much as I would a Rolex. So I guess it's different strokes for different folks. These guys did the hyperbaric welding and tie-ins, the North Seas oil rigs. Looked like rock stars. Called us in to clear the mines. Oh, geez, Eric, that's amazing. I mean, Eric, as most of us know, Eric is a Navy man. He's a proper Navy man. So he knows his history with these pieces. And I would love to be supplied a Comex Submariner to do a job. It's just awesome. It is just awesome. Megan loves the Comex. Yeah, they're beautiful. I'm surprised that there's no mention of papers. I guess it doesn't have it, which is a real pity because these, I mean, for its condition, I would imagine it would fetch at this price that they're asking for, but even still, it's a pity that it doesn't have the provenance and all the booklets to go with it. But then again, if this wasn't issued to a diver and actually the engineer or someone who didn't dive, they don't have logbooks, do they? Did they get issued logbooks along with the divers too? I don't know. Great though, nice point. Moving to the 125. Okay, 1953, another pre-Daytona. Wow, it's got a day date. 22 Watts says, I'd love to hear your take on electric guitar designs. I'd love to. I would love to. Yes, I would love to talk about electric guitars. I would love to have an ID page just focusing on all things design in many different areas if possible, not just watches. I'd love to talk about cars and just products and all that. I mean, you can really prattle on about design for any area. I can give my 2 cents quickly if you like as we run through these. Desk diver, I think, yeah, I agree. A gift or a desk diver, Eric. So 6036, very fine, well preserved, 1960 53, 36 mil, 120 to 240 grand. I've never seen a layout of a chronograph like this with a pointed date. It's a full annual calendar, right? Pretty interesting. Not my cup of tea, really, but yeah, not bad, not bad. Megan mentioning that the serial number is too high for a diver's model. You've probably had a look at the serial. Yeah, that's interesting. There's so much to take away from these references. Whoa, okay. Now we've just jumped to a completely different region. And everyone in the chat, I'm missing you all. My take on guitars, electric guitars, all of that. So yeah, I'm a Martin fanboy. Don't even get me started with Martin as a brand. As far as a made in America brand, I think all of you, if you're an American, buy a Martin because it's just one of the best American companies of all time. They're nearly 200 years old. It's always been run by someone who's linked to the Martin family, which is beautiful, like 5-6 generations. Just class act. As far as Fender goes, I just love the process of how they industrialized the manufacturing of guitars. No more was this artisanal thing. They were made to be just bolted together and shipped out. It was just streamlining. You know, from before that time, nothing like that existed. Even Les Pauls back then was all assembled using the same, classical approaches. And then Leo Fender just came in and said, no, we're going to bolt that neck on. We're going to use cheap, affordable woods. We're going to get these things pumped out. And they are rock solid guitars. I adore them. So yeah, I'd love to talk about them. I really enjoy the pushers on this watch. I think there's something about the pushers and the muzzle brake that just, it screams just hardcore. Not a watch. 42 mils is actually amazing size. So this would probably wear like a 44, since we're talking about integrated case shapes and everything. This is a Rubens Barrichello. Okay, you see me and my tribute models there. Gibson 335, nice guitar, really nice, cherry red, sunburst. Yep, I'd rock it. So the offshore, this is considered an offshore, right? The one drop. Is this also the Monaco, the Prince of Monaco story? I don't know. Color combinations, very divided. Mickey Mouse ears. There's something about it. It is very detached, I think, but there's something about the pushers that I enjoy the most. The pushers and the muzzle brake, very Lego-esque. I mean, just look at the way the end links work here. They look like something out of a Lego set, don't you think? Where's more like a 46, Megan says. God, I mean, these are monsters, absolute monsters. We have 10 more listings to go. How cool is that? We've been doing well, ladies and gents, and there's still 100 of you watching. Thank you to all of you out there in the ether who are still watching the show. Yeah, and talking about sub-owners being desk divers. Yeah, I agree. Martin, I have a Martin made in Mexico. It's still awesome, Mr. C. Yeah, I mean, geez, talk about guitars. I haven't broken the news, but I did get myself one, and I've been on a honeymoon with one for the last week, but that's another story. So the Odysseus. The Odysseus is a watch that I have scorned a lot, but it's one that I'm coming around to. As Thomas says, he loves the Odysseus. The one thing that keeps drawing me back is it's true to Lange's identity and its approach, its language. I would love to see different bracelet variants on this. Lange was very well known in the early 2000s, if I remember right, of using beautiful integrated mesh bracelets into their Lange ones, and they look spectacular. Recommended if you can find some. I think they made some platinum variants of Lange ones with these gorgeous mesh bracelets. If they could do something similar with this, instead of having this segmented Jubilee style approach, it would look a little bit more elegant. And we've seen, I mean, Megan mentioning it looks good on rubber. We've seen this watch on rubber and it does look stunning. I mean, if Russell is still with us, I think he's long gone. He enjoys wearing it on rubber, contrasting colors. And I still feel it has this dress watch element to it, even though it's stainless steel. It's got the full new complication. Estimate to go between $20,000 and $40,000. Now, these are sought after at the moment. I think they are becoming quite hyped. As you know, it's a blue dial sports watch, as you would expect. If I had the opportunity, I would be picking up the new slate gray, white gold variant, if possible. They look amazing. I think they're on leather straps, not rubber straps. But the way they've done the dials on those, beautiful. Have a look. If you have a Google tab open, have a look at the white gold Odysseus. I'm pretty sure they're white gold. Beautiful. Okay, moving on to 128. Oh, 5110. We've seen enough of these. What is the depth rating? Andreas asks. I think it's 120 meters. Don't crucify me if I get it wrong. Let's see. 120 meters. Wow, got it right. 120 meter depth rating for this. Isn't that awesome? And you've got a day-date complication. I just think it's bizarre that you now have a Lunga that is a work watch in many ways. Yeah. So 5110G, we've seen a lot of these. White gold, it's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. Do enjoy the way they've done the crown guards. I actually prefer these variants with it just reminds me more of 50s design styling with the way the crown guards are done here. More organic. There's flow between the lug, the crown, and everything there. There's just something about it that speaks to me, especially with this variant, with the 5107 line and all the rest. White gold is also very underrated. Oh my. Ooh. A rare and fine skeletonized, I don't know. You can decide whether or not you like this. 1997, 31 mil diameter. What? Oh no. It's funny how they always have a doozy somewhere in the show, don't you think? It's great. Amsterdam's still going strong. So Edwin, it's probably what, 2:30 where you are at the moment. Is my time telling right? It's only 1:30. I had a feeling that we had gone like 2.5 hours or something daft. So yeah, I mean, to me, this just looks like it could be any brand, and it could be anything. It could be a watch that costs you $5, don't you reckon? Off the rails. You can buy a GP World Timer under 5K. It looks better than. I mean, yeah, this is a. I mean, you have your wins and you have your losses in life. I think we can all agree. This one, ouch. That must have been a very expensive hurt. And then we have another example, 54. These are sought after. People like these. 1998, 35 mil. I would imagine it wears a bit bigger. Yeah, Megan, AliExpress, I agree. Between 20 and 40 grand, 42 mil overall length case. Yeah. Nice piece. It's kind of gondola-esque, but not. Would be nice with a salmon dial, I would say. Do enjoy the rounded aspect on the dial and how it has this conforming. It's kind of cartoonish, I think. The case is kind of cartoonish. Not bad, though. Nah, it's okay. It's all right. There are better out there, though. The case styling, charming, though. Kind of cartoonish, but has this tonneau style, to gondola tonneau style to it as well. 1998. And then we have more of these references in a bag. What does this remind you of? This looks exactly like a Corne de Vache from 2011. I mean, how can you keep your watch in a bag? It sucks. Surely the oils dry up in these things. I don't know what the idea is of preserving the watch like this. Is it just to keep the moisture out, or what's the idea? Edwin says it is 2:30. My watch tells time. Okay, good to know. I'm wearing an Explorer at the moment. I have to give it back very soon, and I'm kind of I'm divided. Like I dig it. I really enjoy wearing it, but it's not me. 214270 is not me, ladies and gents. The 112 of you who are still watching, you heard it here first. 5170J. I love the dial. It looks exactly like a Corne de Vache. I'm pretty sure they shared the same aesthetics back in the day, in the 50s when they were brought out. 5396R, I think it is a stunning model. One of the best in this category, by far. Same dial arrangement that we saw on the Nautilus earlier on. It's the same movement caliber. In rose gold, also beautiful. It is one of the best in this category. I would be jumping on one of these given the chance. Gorgeous model. 133, and we got another one of these. This is the stainless steel model, no? Yes. Everyone loves this because it's stainless steel. It comes with a white dial, comes with a black dial. Carl saying, making any products on my design for optimal Rolex Smith's Watch challenge. Yeah, Carl, I've actually got one that's coming out in January. There's a plan on, we've done a collaborative exercise. Don't know how well it's going to do, but I kind of whispered into Eddie's ear about an idea around a certain model of watch that I think would be very interesting to focus on. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. Yeah, this watch to me, the bracelet, it just doesn't feel like Patek. It's so gaudy with this bracelet. I think it's too much. The watch would look great on a leather strap or a rubber strap. Funnily, this reminds me of that. What's the version? The tropic, not a tropic dial. The tropical Paul Newman that we saw earlier on. The red accents with the white elements and the black divides has that same kind of effect, that same kind of aesthetic to it. But it's a different animal altogether. I agree. 134. We have what, 3 or 4 more listings left. 5159R, very rare. From 2011. These are very rare, but I mean between 30 and 50K with an officer's case back. Nice. You can't go wrong with an officer's back unless you break it off, of course. Retrograde date. I do like that feature. Again, if you're looking at the date, eventually at the 31, it's going to jump back to the 1. Probably, no. So close. Right. Hold on. We still have one more open. Right. So we have to, hold on to your hats. Let's see. We're lot 1 something or other. We're getting there. Just trust me to have a lazy hand at this last second. Right, 134. Nice piece. I won't click on it again. Just leave it there. Leave it there like that. Very rare. Megan, thank you for doing these listings. Really, I need to mention more about the store that I launched. It's in the description if you'd like to have a look. Maybe I'll do a video about it, discussing the elements a bit more in the future. But yeah. Nice piece, very Breguet-esque with the way they've done the lugs and hang tags, and yeah, okay, cool, whatever. This exact model I've handled in the past, between 30 and 60K. I cannot believe it. What? From 2007, 43. I didn't know they came in 43 mils. This is new, so this is an old variant. But this does surprise you. I can tell you that much. I can really tell you, putting this on your wrist, it doesn't feel like the Nautilus you would expect. I don't know if anyone's experienced a stainless steel Nautilus, but the bracelet, not the best, gotta say. If you compare it to a Royal Oak, there's no comparison, really. But on the leather with a deployant, it's on another level, I believe. It's much more rigid, it gives you that feeling of a substantial quality. Charcoal dial, rose gold. Yeah, not bad. We've looked at these enough times. One more after this, another Patek 2499, an important, very rare, extremely, yeah. This is very nice. This is from 1966. Between 200 and 400 is the expected price with a large crown. This very much was the precursor to the reference, the 5270 we saw a second ago. Not bad. Really not bad. Size is 37.5 mils. How you can tell the time on this, I don't know, because there's so much going on the dial. But this is another example of a collector's piece that, I mean, for someone to be able to sit through an entire auction, like listening to me talking for the past 3 hours, we've basically run through a presentation of an auction. Like I could be the person doing the bids at the moment. And, you sit that long through to wait for this. You have patience, real patience. Last but not least, fading fan, fading fast, Hans says. And the last one we have is a 1518, which is the 35 mil from 1946. Another example, between 350 and 700, it's expected to go for. Is that an Orient Bambino? Yeah. Yes, they're saying a Grail. I mean, these are really sought after for what they are. But still, I mean, you either appreciate it or you don't really. I mean, me and dress watches, I'm definitely not in that category to fully appreciate this so much. But to each their own. Wow after wow. There's been some good stuff. Honestly, there has been some really, really good stuff. I've enjoyed it just because the variety has been there. And that has been the show. I mean, quite the series of pieces, wouldn't you say? Everything from modern to vintage to transitional. This to me is definitely still one of the best. I think this is the one I'll actually stick on. These you can still find online if you're lucky enough. If you are lucky to find these, they probably go for about, I think I've seen one listed for about £12,000. So it's pretty hectic, but you can get these tropical dials. For some reason, they all faded this color over time. And you guys are still awake. I mean, it's 20 to 2 in the morning and you're still with me. I got to say, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here, for being a part of the shows. They're always a joy and a lot of fun. Looking look after yourselves during this time, what's going on in the world. And if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, keep yourselves warm, because I think we're going to have one hell of a winter. It's now up to me to take a break over December, but also focus in a bit more on the content and how I'm going to try and evolve the page a bit more and be a bit more creative with the videos being made. And so it is a new year. It's going to offer some new opportunity for all sorts for us, hopefully, I hope. So I'm going to get out of this somehow. Let's see if I can. Go back to this gadget and stop the screen share. Can you believe, what is this, 3 hours, 40 minutes? That's pretty reasonable considering what we normally do. Am I still on the screen share? Okay, we're doing good. Okay, presentation-wise. Everyone who's been here, there's still 120 of you who are currently watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I know these are very different. These aren't as engaging as Wrist Shot Week. We will definitely do one by the end of the year. The thinking is either I do a highlight reel of the best submissions of the year, which will be amazing. I mean, I have, just spare a thought for me. I have about 19 folders of over 100 submissions. And if I plan on doing it correctly, I'll have to take 10 from each folder to feature for the final show. I don't know how it'll be possible, but we'll see. That could be something, or else we could do one final Wrist Shot Week that's just a joy. And, you know, to cap off the year, all of my watches in the yeah, I mean, that's it. So who knows? But really, Ralph, it's an absolute pleasure. Really, it's always a great time. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a little bit different. I do enjoy these presentations of Phillips. You would swear I'm sponsored by them at this point. Anyway, ladies and gents, I have to wrap it up. I mean, we're going to hit the 4-hour mark before we know it. To all of you, look after yourselves. Have a superb Sunday coming up. For those of you who are still in a different time zone, enjoy your Saturday. And yeah, see you in the next one. Look out for Saturday's video. It's going to be on the Oyster Perpetual, and try and make it as comprehensive as possible. That's the idea. And the very rare merchandise, Megan. You are the worst. You are the worst. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Merry Christmas, Ian. I think we'll have another show before then, but I'm a rare person. You guys make me blush. Thank you all so much. Take care.